ain't trying to bring you down, but for real, you might as well give up now. Think you got a chance, but I don't see how. Got a real tight grip when I hold that crown. My life been good and bad and all around. The more things I lost, the more I found. Everybody wanna be like us, we don't stop, cause the top just ain't enough. I'm the first one in and the last one out. Whoever owns the place gotta drag me out. Came here ready to fight on this night, you better just run for your life. Run for your life. Run for your life.
Today we're talking about the brand new GT Lite Pro. It's awesome.
It's compact, it's strong, it's adaptable.
Is it comfortable? Yes, it is comfortable.
Handling this quite well.
Oh, I'm impressed.
It is very compact once it folds down.
Pretty rock solid when you sat in the rig.
This new version is stronger and easier to operate when folding up the
A
rig.
night and day immersion experience, enjoyable experience.
It's actually really, really well designed.
Daytona International Speedway. It's synonymous with the most exciting stock car racing in the world. And from the very beginning of stock car racing to the modern day, it's a blend of the historic and the current. And tonight, with the modern next-gen NASCAR Cup car and the historic 2008 scan of Daytona, I said that 3 times, Daytona, 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 because the next level racing community prepares to do battle 3 times under the lights tonight, or in the daytime in southern Florida. As many arcade machines throughout the world have sung over the years, Daytona, let's go away, because this is the next level racing, Speedway Showdown. Hi everybody, my name is Joey Tebben. Joining me for all of the Daytona action tonight is Justin Prince. You know, Justin, you become motorsports royalty if you win at Daytona, so it's only fitting that we do have a Prince in the booth with us tonight. But Justin, it's Daytona, it's super speedway racing, it's stock car racing. I gotta prepare my vocal cords for 3 races tonight. What can we expect from all the action?
Well, really, it depends first on how the drivers dictate themselves tonight in terms of what to expect. But when it comes to the common sense, usually expect 2, possibly 3 wide racing. Lots of opportunities for drivers to try and either play patient or try and see if they become the Pied Piper, Brad Keselowski or Dale Earnhardt Jr. style. But even more so, it's a mixture of luck, strategy, skill, and speed. That gets you a win at Daytona. You have to have that right combination at the right time to be able to take the checker flag. If one of those pieces even shuffles a bit, you have the big one or you go backwards.
Indeed you do. And how many times have we seen that over the years, both in the real world and on iRacing? The big one, it's not necessarily an if, it's definitely a when, especially in some of the fields we're about to see tonight. Some bigger than others, but we're going to see almost 100 drivers or over 100 drivers doing battle at Daytona tonight. You know, normally we think of Daytona as a pretty straightforward track. When you're qualifying on your own, it's almost boring. You're just driving around. But this is the old scan of Daytona. Extra bumps, extra action. And when you're in the pack, you're going to be feeling those bumps.
Yeah, when it comes to Daytona, the 31 degrees of banking carries a lot of speed. Drivers in qualifying already running 49-second lap times. In the pack tonight, it can go as fast as 46 to 47 seconds. In turn, there is enough room across the racetrack, no matter the scan version, when you consider things, to go 3 wide. It's a tight 3 wide compared to, say, Talladega, which has a little bit more space in terms of lines. As well, when you work down that front straightaway, you have to be careful not to be able to hit that apron, because the second you step out along that yellow line, it could be the second things start to bottleneck throughout the field. So you have to be smart to be able to play things right here at the Super Speedway and be able to time up the right moves and the right lines at the right time to be able to try and break away to secure your run.
Right. I've always said we should scan that airport over there. That would be an interesting track in and of itself. But here at Daytona, you know, winning a race in fields as competitive as we're about to see tonight, it's enough of an incentive in and of itself. But that's not how things work here at Next Level Racing. Of course, there are these fabulous prizes on the line. I'm going to live my game show fantasy for the next minute or so here. You could win these fabulous prizes. Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, 3 different sets of prizes, and you can see they go up a little bit like a staircase. In Division 3, 2 Next Level Racing merch packs will be going out to second and third, and then first place will win that HF8. And then you see it steps up just a little bit. 1 NLR merch pack for Division 2, and first place will get that GT Light Pro. One more step up, 2 GT Light Pros, and the big one, the GTE Light wheel plate and the ERS2 seat. Justin, you are far more of a scholar of this sim racing equipment than I am, but even I know that these are some fantastic prizes, and it's going to be even more incentive to win in Division 1 especially.
Yeah, especially with the equipment online. The GT Light Pro just coming out in the past week, in fact. Very solid, very able to handle direct drive wheels up to about 13 nanonewtons. It's in turn going to be interesting to see which driver picks up that feedback pad, which does go on your seat, by the way. It's not simply a mouse pad. It gives you feedback through the pad.
I certainly wish I had one of those right now, but we do have the grid here. It's Nicky Bobby on pole. That sounds somewhat familiar, alongside Nathan Ramsey of Australia/New Zealand. Long way away, that club. And it's Christmas for Matthew Natale in third. He starts alongside somebody we know very well over at Race Spot TV, Colton Easterday on row number 2. And it's Donald Martinez and a regular of these Next Level Racing community events, Zach Christie, on row number 3. Eric Richardson and Shai Kuba make up row number 4, and rounding out the top 10, it's Cam Bell, and hoping to win the million, Christopher McMillian. Rupert Carrington and James Bracker make up row number 6. Then unlucky 13th goes to Jake Cummings alongside Brockton Packard, and last but not least, it is Jonathan Morrison in 15th. And this is the Division 3 race, the first of 3 races tonight. Smaller field than we're going to see in some of the other races, Justin, but I have no doubt there's going to be no shortage of action, even with 15 cars. That might just be a good thing and get us more green flag running and get us to the end of this race with fewer cautions.
That's the thing, though. This respective field still has a lot of talented competitors, and not just in terms of talented names sakes to be able to live up to. Easterday, a very solid driver in some of the league action we cover here on Race Spot, but also Brockton Packard, amongst those who didn't set a qualifying and interestingly, one of the drivers with real world race experience in that he is a race mechanic for Jordan Anderson Racing and is also the head of the University of North Carolina Charlotte's racing program for esports. These drivers going to have to deal with some hot track conditions, though, with a 37 degrees Celsius, 98 Fahrenheit. Not as hot as it can be, but that should still carry speeds around the 46-47 second bracket.
As we pick up the pace here, we actually have something very, very special for all of you watching on all of those Next Level Racing social medias and broadcasts and all of those places. We have a special code, a special discount code for you. We have a Speedway Showdown coupon code active only during this live stream event. You can use the code Speedway Showdown for a 5% discount on your next purchase at nextlevelracing.com. Excluding licensed products, everything else is absolutely good for that. Whether you're in the market for an entry-level wheel stand or that brand new GT Light Pro, or maybe even aiming for the luxurious Elite range over there on Next Level Racing, you can get it all with this discount code. The high-end motion systems is well a part of the deal. 5% discount on that is hundreds of dollars in savings. It may seem small, but it certainly adds up. It's an opportunity you don't want to miss. And like I said, that'll be active for the entirety of the event tonight. Here we see that Next Level Sim Racing, or that Next Level Racing studio, Justin. We're going to go racing here in a matter of moments, but you do see the big 3 there. They're all searching for this win. Zach, James, and Rupert. Give me one word, Justin. Who's going to win tonight?
Who's going to win Division 3? That's
Indeed.
hard to pick when it comes to Daytona, but I kind of like Packard with what I've seen in the past. Here we go.
Packard's starting at the back of the pack, but we're ready to go pack racing for the first time tonight at Daytona. We are green for the Next Level Racing Speedway Showdown. It's the number 5 of Nicky Bobby on pole, Nathan Ramsey to the outside as we fire into turn 1 for the first time.
And this is to be expected when it comes to the runs. That outside line stronger, including the starts and restarts over the recent times. Not a good place to get a bump trap for Easterday, though. Nearly getting spun by Christie, and there we go.
Nathan Ramsey goes around already on the back straight. Contact with Nicky Bobby in the 5. No caution's going to come out because Ramsey is down on the apron, but we made it approximately 1.25 miles. And we've already got somebody in the wall. A little bit of drama there in the middle with Rupert Carrington getting into the back of the number 5, or the number 14 rather, and the caution comes out at the end of lap 1. That was Donald Martinez going around in that Hendrick Cars car. Rupert Carrington involved, and Nathan Ramsey's going to be very happy because the caution is already out.
Well, that got ugly very quickly, and to put it politely, when it comes to Daytona, with the next-gen car, some drivers have emphasized down the straightaways a triple bump draft to be able to carry momentum through the middle car to that front car. You don't bump out of the corner, you don't bump in the corner, and several times, drivers absolutely queued up that massive chaos already. No fast repairs. We already lost 2 drivers, Carrington and Martinez, because of that damage.
Donald Martinez already on pit road, so in addition to getting repairs, he's likely going to have to take a penalty for entering a closed pit lane. But let's take a look at what happened here, Justin. That's Carrington in the 8, makes contact with the beige car up top, and then Donald Martinez down to the bottom, nowhere to go. Very well avoided by somebody on the bottom there. I think that may have been Christopher McMillian. Gets a little bit of contact, but doesn't get into the wall.
Could also happen to dodge. But when it comes to timing up runs, especially early in a race like this, you just can't simply push right out of the corner. You have to time it up right. It's about using that aero bubble along that front nose to the back bumper of the car in front. You just slam draft into them. You just seen the results of that no matter where you are on the racetrack. Also, you have to make sure you're lined up square for a bump draft. They weren't lined up square, as already field strategy coming in mind of drivers with the quick caution.
Indeed, and I believe that was Eric Richardson, who I mentioned, who got a little bit of a clip in that previous caution. Didn't get any damage, did a fantastic job of locking it down, staying out of the wall. He's going to come down pit road either way, as is Jonathan Morrison, Shai Kuba, and Ramsey and Carrington. No surprise between those two. But Justin, this is a 40-minute race guaranteed. As you told me pre-race, strategy going to be very important here because you cannot make that if we go green all the way. With one caution, it's going to be a little bit easier, but I still don't think you can make it to the end on fuel from here.
Usually on average, it's around 38 to 42. Comfortably, I've seen drivers stretch it to 45. In some cases, maybe to 47, 48. But here's the thing, to get to 47, 48, let alone 45, you have to basically ride half throttle, wait in the draft, while making sure you don't lose that pack, which with this next-gen car is not so easy because if you're at the tail end of the pack, you might end up losing touch of the rest of the competitors because of that power band. So there's so much you have to keep in mind as a result here tonight. The caution does help, I think, but there's a reason we just seen so many top-offs just early on in the race. Not just because going to the back, keep clean. It's to make sure you can make that save mark.
Just a reminder once again that this is only the first of 3 races tonight. After this race finishes up, it'll be Division 2, and after that finishes up, it'll be Division 1. 3 sets of prizes, 3 different sets of drivers, and lots of exciting racing to come here at Daytona tonight. We're going to go green in 1 lap's time, I believe. And what a story this could be for Colton Easterday, Justin. He's a driver who, I mentioned, we see on Race Spot TV a lot, racing in the Precision Racing League. He's a driver with a lot of bad luck. He has been searching for pace. We see him behind the wheel of his sim rig in his room there. He's got Power Rangers in the background, hopefully giving him some power. But he attracts a lot of bad luck, whether it's his fault or not. He hasn't had the best run in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. But here, he's leading, and this could be a great confidence boost for him.
I was actually really surprised to see him in Division 3 because of his experience in PRL with Speedworks throughout the season. But the interesting mark is just, in this type of a race, anybody could win. And Easterday is amongst those I think you could put in the category of he's got decent experience to be able to try and hold off the field. That being said, it's Daytona. And we already seen how busy things changed in the opening lap, and some of the drivers right behind him for this restart and beside him made it pretty clear they weren't afraid to bump draft no matter where they are to start.
And Colton's probably going to be somewhat worried because look at who's directly behind him. It is Nicky Bobby, technically in the 00, but in the 5 as we see it in that Terry Labonte throwback there. Zach Christie to his outside, as I mentioned, experienced driver with Next Level Racing, maybe not so experienced on the oval side. You look at his oval rating on iRacing. I believe he still has a rookie license. That's not to say he doesn't have experience in league racing, but it is sort of a difference in experience up at the top of the field. I'm seeing a little bit of a rainbow with A class, B class, C class, D class, and even a couple of rookie class.
And that's kind of the mix you see with some of the drivers newer to the iRacing service, or some of those who have real-world commitments. In the case of Packard, for example, to not necessarily grind it out in terms of the totals per se. So there's some of that you'll see when it comes to a night such as this here at Daytona. But again, it brings up the mindset of anybody can come to Daytona and win. The thing is, it takes also a skill set to be able to fully control the field. In this type of a racing environment, you need to have that right mix, and as well have that mix of experience that you gain over time to know when and when you can push.
The iRacing sedan pace car pulls onto pit road for the second time. Let's see if we can get a run going here. Colton Easterday jumps into the lead, and we're racing once more at Daytona. You see Zach Christie there in the Next Level Racing studio, the focus on his face, trying to get a good run. He's going to poke to the outside of Colton Easterday already. I think he is a little bit too far ahead to get any kind of push from Natale or from Packard, but they are coming up, and Zach Christie does not want to help Colton Easterday.
Packard, though, made it clear that not only was once those with a good chance to get the push, they gained at least half the spots, and there they go again.
Zach Christie, Cam Bell, Natale, and it is a massive accident on the back straight. Smoke flying as Eric Richardson gets a bite out of it. You see Natale spinning onto the apron, and that's caution number 2 already after a little bit of an argument down the back straight. And that's about half the field who's going to be damaged.
There might have been a bit of air down there. They are still wrecking in turn 3. At least 3 more cars just piled up, but once again, there are no faster pairs in this race, in this division, so being able to manage the damage is going to be very critical at this mark.
Only slow repairs, unfortunately. I mean, it's not meant to be a demolition derby, but at this point, it might be a little bit of a race to survival for some of those guys back there. Let's see what happened, as that's Natale and a few others getting into an argument. Zach Christie ends up in the wall hard, and on the back straight, the 99 of Bracker. Eric Richardson does actually make it through. Jonathan Morrison, I believe, got some damage out of that. Ramsey got damage again. And a lot of drama there. But you know who didn't get damage out of all that? Brockton Packard, who was right behind all the shenanigans there, made it right through. Completely clean car. He's the lucky one.
Yeah, extremely lucky to be able to get through, especially even with the air distance, with no damage especially. But he had the right mindset, had the right driver to work with, had the great chance to be able to try and battle for the race lead. It was just more so just the distance between the drivers that really factored in, unfortunately. Otherwise, we might be talking about Packard going from around the 10th spot for the restart to second, or at least the lead within a couple laps. That's just how good Packard seems to be in terms of his comfortability with this car.
Zach Christie, no surprise there, bringing it down pit road with that heavy damage. I think McMillian might follow him in. No, McMillian stays out. Chaikuba is in. Nathan Ramsey is in to get some more repairs. I have to imagine we'll see James Bracker in as well. Yes, we do. And let's see how long this repair is. You can see, Justin, that the front right tire of Zach Christie, the front right wheel, was not spinning on the ground for the majority of that journey through pit road, so I can't imagine he's going to be too happy right now. It's going to be long repairs, and he also can't find his pit stall. Got to do a little bit of parallel parking.
I think it's less so knowing where it is, but more so the damage. You can see the bewilderment where you hit so hard, you break the tie rod on some of these cars. The right front tie rod specifically. Now, here's the thing. That could be only about a minute or two. That could be 10 minutes of damage to fix that. You never really know until you get to that pit stall. It's looking good for Easterday, though. He's led every lap.
Indeed. He's led more laps, I think, than he ever led in the PRL. But look at the side of this car, Justin, when he pulls up here. This is one of my favorite things about Colton Easterday's livery. He's run this for the past couple of seasons. I do have to be honest, I kind of goaded him into it a little bit, but that 95 is in a very familiar font. It is a Comic Sans number, no embossment, no bolding. It's just a white 95, and I am honestly a very big fan of it. It's unique, it looks unlike anything else, and you always know which car Colton Easterday's driving.
I mean, don't forget, he is also a semi-professional actor when you
Indeed.
think about things. He likes to really show off that that sponsor on that car, to say the very least. I have a feeling it has something to do with the acting. Regardless, though, it does fit the personality type based on the interactions in the past.
Yeah, the dinner detective, I believe. Honestly, the last time I saw Colton Easterday in one of these next level racing events was the Eliminator race at Oran Park a couple of seasons ago. He was in that interactive murder mystery dinner musical thingamajig. He told us all about it. But he's also a professional truck driver. That's what he does in sort of his civilian life. And then after that's over, he's trying to find acting things, acting in all sorts of shows. It's a very interesting life to live if you're Colton Easterday, and
yeah,
this is another additional part of that.
Yeah, indeed. Here's the thing. I didn't know there was a national chain of mystery dinner theaters now in the U.S.
I think we need to go, Justin.
I don't even know where they are, but now I'm intrigued.
We're going to have to be the detective. We're going to have to see. Let's see. Do they have it? Private shows? I'm on the website right now.
Apparently, according to their own map, everywhere is the answer.
Oh, I see it. Connecticut. New Haven, Connecticut. That's about an hour from me. I might just have to do it. Colton Easterday, I believe, is out of Indiana, so I think I'd have to go pretty far to see him, but I could see him in spirit.
So, back to the race cars, I will say. These drivers really enthused. You have to think in terms of trying to get that CPAP because it helps really in terms of feeling things. It's actually a pretty valuable pad when you look at it, too, because of that ability to make the feels, but also fine-tune how exactly your runs with the car is, the different ground effects. It can really hide in that in those circumstances where you can just plop it down to your seat, sit on top of the pad right then and there, instead of having to, say, install multiple gizmos underneath the seat or on the stand.
We're stacked up 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. I have to say that about 7 times, I think, with the amount of rows we have, but we're ready to go racing once more. Colton Easterday, I'm sure, would be happy to run under caution for the rest of the night, but I think everybody else wants to make him sing a little bit, wants to make him dance a little bit. They want to fight for this win with him, and Brockton Packard has made his way up to the front. Basically everybody with a ton of experience is up here at the front as the iRacing Sedan pace car pulls onto pit road for the 3rd time. We're ready to go green once more. It's Colton Easterday up front. It's a big jump once more. Brockton Packard going to try and slot back in line as we go racing with about 26 minutes to go.
Camby Bell clipping a little of the apron notice there. But it looks like Packard's saying, you know what? With how things are going, why not just sidetrack for the lead?
Why not? I mean, it's certainly working for him. What a run on the top there around the outside of Colton Easterday with nobody helping him. Brockton Packard has made the pass for the lead, and he's clear. Packard to the front down the back stretch.
That was very close, though. Nearly turned himself across Easterday's nose. But now all Easterday needs to do is see how things form up behind. They are starting to gain momentum back along that bottom line. And once it gets single filed out like this, it can be difficult to build the second line with the side draft effect.
For the first time tonight, somebody named Colton Easterday is not leading at Daytona. Brockton Packard leads us across the line. And look at Colton just kind of hunting back there in line. Cam Bell behind him. Nicky Bobby behind him. You see up on the top, Kuba and I believe Morrison trying to work together, and McMillian trying to make that high line work, trying to build up some momentum, but it's still very, very early in this race. There goes Morrison up to the top. They're trying to form up the top line, but the bottom dominant so far.
But keep in mind, they are separated so much far from the bottom of the top lines because of that necessity to avoid the side draft. It may be tempting to go up there, but there is the term, the sucker hole. Well, in this case, it sucks you back if you jump into that line and completely brings back both the inside and outside lines and stacks those up. Now it's going to be the matter of being smart enough to play that. Don't get too tempted to turn it 3 wide early.
Nathan Ramsey to the front of the field. He leads at the line. Remember lap 1, Justin? Nathan Ramsey was firing into the runoff onto the apron on the backstretch at about 180 miles per hour. One caution comes out, no damage, and he's back to the front.
Yeah, able to get himself pushed forward. Just got that right number, to say the least, to be able to get things going, though. keep in mind, the inside line isn't working together really. They aren't trying to push each other forward. They're massively separated. You aren't going to get anywhere on the inside line if you have that much distance. But if you say have a driver who knows how to push the middle car to slowly guide them up to the front car, in this case in that bottom line, you can get yourself clear and not make it easy for that outside groove. They aren't doing that on the bottom.
It's the 13 of Eric Richardson. Remember, he had a little bit of damage earlier, got that repaired in the pits, and that car looks to be completely on pace. And he's almost going to clear Nathan Ramsey for fourth there. The bottom working together so much better than that trio up at the top. But there's a little bit of a blink from Campbell. Joins back just in time. But you do not want that to happen in the middle of the field here at Daytona. This is not the time for those internet issues to start rearing their ugly head.
This is the worst possible track to have anything technical-wise, because not only does it risk causing the big one here, but it also basically screams, okay, you may as well avoid me. I don't know what's going to happen. And when you have that spot, it's hard to be able to win a race when you don't have friends that are comfortable pushing you.
Brockton Packard moved up to the top, trying to work with Nathan Ramsey for the lead. That's going to let Colton Easterday take the lead back of the bottom line. But does he have a pusher who can help him? Ken Campbell give him a good push, give him some good soup for Campbell and get him back up to the front. Looks like that's not the case just yet, because Packard and Ramsey, the dynamic duo, doing a great job in the front.
Yeah, Packard's just doing exactly what most top drivers need to do. Just figure out the top line, control that more higher momentum line, play the Pied Piper. Packard's somebody who has experience in NASCAR competitions at the college level and organizes his university squad for a reason. And keep in mind, the university with the 49ers, mind you, that University of Charlotte-based organization, huge for people wanting to get into motorsports. So that helps a lot to have that experience being in a rear-wheel garage while still getting his degree, mind you.
I was trying to build up that college program at the University of Pittsburgh, but nobody ever listened. But I'm always glad to see drivers coming from that eNASCAR College Series program, because it is a great thing. It's a great thing for a lot of drivers who want to get involved in the motorsports industry, whether it's learning engineering to get involved on that side, or learning engineering, doing a little bit of iRacing, connecting with the teams in that way. And it's a great way to get your feet wet in the industry and start moving. Brockton Packard doing all the right things and doing all the right things tonight as well.
Yeah, noticing though some of the handling starting to go away, that is a factor to consider. As the tires wear out, these cars get very light on some of the corner entries, especially when it comes to the fixed setup. So drivers like Easterday need to start being careful on that throttle, or else that can cause somebody to just snap around in front of the field.
Everybody has been very well behaved here, Justin, we must say, from Brockton Packard to Chai Kuba. Oh, as I say that, little bit of damage. I think I'm being slightly criticized in the Twitch chat, Justin, for Kuba's name. I don't know how to pronounce her first name. I hope I could be told that, because I do want to get that right, because she is just hanging out, kind of keeping clean, and she, I think, will be very relevant here in probably about 20 minutes, just kind of hanging back and making sure there's no involvement in any issues.
I will say it's difficult to be able to build up friends when you have the lowest I rating. That's going to be interesting to keep an eye at. Oh boy, more traffic. Ramsey trying to communicate where are the cars going to go.
That's Zach Christie kind of in the middle of the track there. Everybody does a fantastic job of avoiding him, but you can see the scrambling of the pack. We can say that much, as there's only Nathan Ramsey up on the top. Nicky Bobby finally goes up to help him out. And look at this, Justin. How often do you see this in sim racing? I do believe, if I am not mistaken, that this is indeed a sim racing VTuber model.
I don't think I've ever seen it with the steering wheel before.
This is incredible.
Yeah, she's right now just trying to run the bottom, just follow the fellow colored car, in terms of the color pattern, I mean, and just let things sort out. Wait until the right moment. It's already looking like we're halfway on time, so we'll see what drivers do with that now having to be a factor.
And I have officially been corrected by Emerald in the Twitch chat, Justin. It is Chi Kuba and not Chai Kuba. So I'm going to get my vowel sounds correct for the rest of the race. And look at that. Just hanging at the back of the pack right now. But they are starting to form up a little bit more up on the top. You see Jonathan Morrison making it 3 cars back up on the top. They had a little bit of a scary with Zach Christie coming up and lapping him, but after they've navigated through that, we do once more have a race at the front. And Nathan Ramsey is really hoping that Nicky Bobby can shake and bake with him.
Yeah, I think that's just going to take a little bit of time to be able to gather things fully here. And that's the patience mark. You can't just simply say, let's go from 24th to 1st in 1 lap. You aren't going to make a lot of friends going that way. At Daytona, you kind of need to be able to pick a friend, or rather pick the right line, be able to pick those lines consistently to make your way forward. Packard's been moving forward, consistently picking the line. Lap traffic now for that bottom line to deal with, and it's Carrington.
Rupert Carrington doesn't get off the track, but does stay down at the bottom, so pretty well behaved there from Rupert Carrington in that blank white car, leaving everybody a blank white canvas to get by him, and they do a very good job. Colton Easterday back to the front, and Brockton Packard now leading that top line. You see a couple of drivers at the back of the pack. That's Chi, Eric Richardson, just trying to figure out where they want to be. Do you want to follow the top line? Do you want to follow the bottom line? As there goes Richardson together with Chi. As I said, they were both hanging out, trying not to cause any trouble. They get into each other. No caution's going to come out, though. They're going to lose the draft, though.
And Kuba over the radio, not happy, obviously. You can just see with the facial expression. I think it scans some of the facial expressions, these. And you can tell very unhappy because that is 6 seconds lost trying to keep underneath Richardson. Richardson, mind you, is the only driver with the spotter in the field and still came down.
That's not to say everybody else doesn't have a spotter. There is, of course, the default iRacing spotter and software, the robot spotters. I believe we saw somebody on Twitter turn the TikTok AI voice into a spotter, but he does have a legitimate human person as his spotter, and unfortunately didn't quite do Eric Richardson any favors there. We're single file up front now, Justin, and maybe that means we're starting to see these drivers get a little bit conservative. Think about there's still 23 minutes left to go in the race. We don't want to be too aggressive. We just want to hang out and wait a little bit longer before we can go racing. I think Nicky Bobby, that's a face of focus down there.
Yeah. Well, it's the only thing in focus. I'm not sure if this is a filter or just the camera.
We call that the glaucoma background.
Well, I've never heard of that description, but either way, looks like just try to modulate the throttle a little bit. You can see it with the revs, for example. Just trying not to go full throttle to where it goes full lift, full lift. You lose the draft, possibly, if not lose some ground on the track when you go full lift, full lift. Just be careful on that modulation to be able to maintain a consistent pace to keep up with the pack. It's also important to mention you have to also be in the right gear. Some drivers prefer 5th gear in the draft. When you're leading a pack, some go to 4th gear. It just depends on the preference and the situation.
I don't think we've ever had a more diverse set of zoom cams, Justin. Next Level Racing is really delivering. We've got Nicky Bobby with the glaucoma background. We got the VTuber avatar. We got Zach Christie in the Next Level Racing studio. It is a beautiful sight for the eyes to see that level of commitment. We always love when people show their beautiful faces on the zoom cams. Helps add a little bit of a human element to sim racing, because we do know that even though these are virtual cars, there is a human being behind every single one of them. It's our job to tell the stories, and sometimes it's our job to see their faces, and hopefully not their faces in their most embarrassing moments.
Now keep in mind, there's about 15 minutes to go. We're not halfway in the race total. I think if you're amongst those who have stayed out, it might get interesting with the fuel mileage. I think it's just going to be the part of what's going to play out. One car, I think, has just stopped in the front stretch in the grass, but we are still good to go for the most part. No one else, I think, is going to make a move until those final 5 minutes.
I think that was either Eric Richardson or Rupert Carrington who got into a little bit of trouble on the front straight. They have indeed brought it back to the pits. There's Donald, or that's not Donald Martinez. That is Natale, rather, being lapped by the field here. Lots of red, white, and blue cars in the field. Got to differentiate them. Everybody gets by, no harm, no foul there. Colton Easterday still getting the push, and I wonder, Justin, is Campbell kind of listening to what you said? You don't want to waste that fuel. You do just want to hang out a little bit. If it is going to be tight to make it to the end, you might not want to be Colton Easterday right now, even if it does look triumphant to be leading all these laps. It might just bite you in a little bit's time.
You never want to make the move too early, because if you make it too early, you end up opening the chance for someone else to pass you back, or better yet, to do it using your same method, if not a better method. You do it too late, you end up not having anyone helping you or not making up that ground you were planning to get. Eventually, though, you have to start planning. You can't just be a plotter when it comes to a super speedway race. That's why I think Bobby is up on that top line with McMillian, just trying to see, can we get the outside working? And the answer is, there's the side draft effect, and now they could lose the pack if they don't clear.
Going to be about 13 laps left to go at the line. And another reminder, this is only race 1 of the night. This is Division 3. Division 2 coming up immediately after. And look at Zach Christie. Division 3 for him. He's having a little bit of a chill night now. He's got the hat backwards now. Got one hand off the wheel, one hand behind the head. What a day it is to be Zach Christie.
I highly recommend that he puts the second hand on the wheel.
He's not going to do that. He's not going to. Look at him.
I know he's having a little bit of fun, but the driver and Kuba in front is on the lead lap. So I think that's more so just saying, I can do it with one hand. It's not easy to do it with one hand with the force feedback.
Zach was pointing out there, the hat's not backwards. You just had the headphones pointed down. You're going to want to put those back on. You may be able to drive with one hand, and he might not be able to as he almost gets into the wall. But you do want audio. Even at Daytona, when you're going full throttle, it is a deceptively difficult thing to do, to drive with no audio, and now he's having quite a bit of fun. I don't think she's going to be too happy that she's lost her helper, but Zach Christie, he's trying to make iRacing not top 10 here.
I don't know how he's still driving straight, let alone.
Some people drive with their knees on the highway, and I don't know how that's possible. I don't endorse that because I don't like breaking my knees, but some people do that, and I think Zach Christie is testing the limits of human abilities here.
Did we mention he's the last car in the race in 12th right now?
That's true as well, but I think we should send him to the Olympics either way.
Well, I will say this. Eventually, someone will have to make the move here. And it's already looking like some of the drivers are thinking, can we build a run-up? The problem is just the patience game. It's the calm before the storm. It's kind of that sense of 12 laps to go where you're waiting to see who makes that move coming to 5 to go.
And we do have to remember here, no green-white checkers in Division 3 or Division 2. The race will end when the clock ends at 40 minutes. So if we get a caution within about 5 minutes to go, it is entirely possible that we could end this race under caution. So you have to consider that as well. You do want to wait a while to make your move, but if you wait too long and they do wreck and bring out the caution, you might have waited too long and you won't get the chance to race for the win. It's an impossible balancing act. For a track that's full throttle in qualifying, a lot of the road course people tend to say, oh, it's just turning left. There's so much more you have to calculate here.
And drivers, from what we're being told, are calculating that fuel for time because of that concern on how close it can be. Remember, Morrison is the first of those who topped off on fuel during the cautions. Ramsey and Kuba are the only other drivers in the lead lap with that distinction. Everybody else has not made one pit stop, so they might be tight to even make it in 10 minutes.
We could have a fuel mileage race here tonight at Daytona. As if it hasn't been crazy enough already, nothing is crazier than a fuel mileage finish, because at that point, it's not just racing, it is racing and PhD level mathematics, trying to find that fuel number, trying to feather the throttle like Scott Dixon to make it to the finish of the race. It is almost impossible to save fuel at that level and still win here, but everybody's going to try and do it. Nobody making any kind of moves just yet. It is still the calm before the storm, as Justin said, but it's Florida. The storm's going to come.
Yeah, I can already tell some of the drivers, though, really having a hard time One of the major things to consider with the next-gen car, as well as with the current model, in past years it was minimal tire wear. You might be able to go no tires, maybe 2 tires, be fine until the next pit stop after that. Tonight, you're really sliding those rear tires with this car. And already, drivers like Packard are showing that rear end starting to kick out. Now he looks to kick out for the lead.
Here we go. Packard to the outside. McMillian on the bottom, or McMillian to the top, rather. And then the 5 of Nicky Bobby, or the 00 of Nicky Bobby, depending on which number you want to go with. Packing up there, up on the top line. It's a huge push for Packard. Pokes a nose ahead of Colton Easterday for a moment. He's not quite there yet, but here comes the push from Nicky Bobby down the back straight. He shuffles ahead. Nathan Ramsey going up to the top to try and help him. Colton Easterday loses Campbell for a moment, and that's not going to help Brockton Packard to the lead.
Yeah, if anything, that's absolutely destroyed the momentum of the inside. Bobby getting very close to bad pushes, though.
To the line, I think Packard's going to lead it. 8 minutes to go. If we get a caution now, we will get a restart. But we will very quickly be running out of time, and these drivers know that. It is time to push. It is time to go. And Brockton Packard not able to clear Colton Easterday just yet. When Campbell is actually in the corporeal realm, he is very, very adept at pushing Colton Easterday. But when he's blinking out, that is not helping the runs whatsoever. And it looks like Jonathan Morrison maybe a little bit conservative, a little bit cautious, not able to put the momentum up to the back of Campbell and really build up that speed. But Colton Easterday is back to the front with that push from Bell. How long can he hold it, though?
Oh, that was nearly a push in the corner, though, too. Not a good sign to have a push in the corner, to say the very least. Those top 2 able to clear on by. Bell getting warned about the technical side. Keep in mind, when it comes to Bell, he just made this account a couple months ago. Now is trying to hold on the inside line with Packard looking outside.
There we go. We finally get a look at Brockton Packard. Lots of NASCAR memorabilia in the background. Jordan Anderson sponsored. Rayom Brothers Racing behind there as well. He's a guy with a lot of experience. He lives and breathes NASCAR, and he's trying to live and breathe it virtual as he does go back to the lead in the number 49 in the Niners car. He will lead Colton Easterday to the line if Bobby can stick with him. Look how far back Bell is. Could both of them clear Colton Easterday and move down to the bottom?
I don't know if there's a space yet. If anything, Packard might be thinking that top line is quicker. Look at the numbers. They have the higher car count. Now he's trying to play the Brad Keselowski line.
Another blink from Campbell. I do wonder if Nicky Bobby wins this race, we might have to ask him for his real name, because I don't think Nicky Bobby is his real name, but he might want to take it on officially after this. But that is one by one up front. Colton Easterday pokes to the outside. Campbell's going to join him. Packard can't decide which line to go with. Easterday hits him with a switchback, but he's blocking all over the road.
There's still 6 minutes to deal with, lots of traffic to deal with. This is really dicey. Drivers already knowing that side draft critical, pulling drivers back critical. Easterday amongst those who knows how effective that can be to get the pull. There it is.
Easterday says, go Power Rangers, and there he goes to the inside of Packard. He's going to lead at the line. And now we are in those critical moments. 5 minutes to go. If we do get a caution now, it's going to be a 1 or 2 lap shootout at the most. So you do have to make your moves now. You need to get track position, and you need to place yourself for this final dash to the finish. We're back to single file for the moment, but I have a feeling that once Packard and Nicky Bobby, Nathan Ramsey, Jonathan Morrison, when they get the run, they're going to take it. And as I say that, there goes Packard back to the top.
Packard wants this in bad. He seems to have found someone he's comfortable with. Bobby has definitely picked up on the pushes compared to earlier, where he was struggling to get the clean ones. Now he's been able to line things up proper. You see those little bumps. He's learned a lot out of this race.
And don't count out Nathan Ramsey. Remember, he qualified on the front row, was up front when he got turned onto the apron on lap 1. He's definitely in conversation to win as we're almost 3 wide into turn 1. We are 3 wide into turn 1. Packard tried to clear Colton Easterday into turn 1, but he was not clear. And he is going to get into Campbell. They're wrecking down the back straight, and the caution is going to come out, I do believe. Now the question is, will we get a restart, or has that caution just won Colton Easterday this race?
Yeah, Packard already taking responsibility over the radio. A good number of drivers That's significant damage to now deal with. We are borderline for a possible one-lap shootout, I'll have to say, based on the time. And I don't think that's what Easterday would want if we go back green because of how good the outside line is and how crazy this could get here.
I think right now, Colton Easterday is going to be on the phone to some Harvard physicists yelling, please stop time, make it go faster. Do either one of those. I do not want this to restart, but it might just do so. Here's a look at what happened down the back straight. Brockton Packard gets into the 97 of Jonathan Morrison after the wreck, so poor old Morrison kind of involved through no fault of his own. And then Campbell involved as well. Very aggressive from Packard, and being aggressive is good at Daytona. Can't be too aggressive, though, because it'll bite.
My question is going to be, where is Morrison going to be scored? Because in situations like that in the past on iRacing, sometimes after a second or two for the caution, if anyone gets spun out like that, they sometimes get the spot back. I'm going to be curious to see how they line things up here, because that will also play a major difference in what we see here with drivers like Morrison with the fuel advantage over the others. It looks like Morrison will not get the spot back, unfortunately, because the speed differential is trying to gather it back up.
So right now, as we cross the line, we're going to have to do a little bit of math here. Colton Easterday will cross the line here, I think, with about 2:45 to go. We're going to have to wait for him to cross the line to see the length of a caution flag lap time here at Daytona. Colton Easterday on that previous lap did a 1:30. We're going to get one to go the next time by. And I think with the way the caution laps are calculated, or the way the laps are calculated on time in iRacing, it goes by the length of a green flag lap. So if we cross the line for one to go with more than 47 seconds on the clock, I believe we will get a one-lap shootout, but it's a race against time right now.
Yeah, and keep in mind the pace laps around here are about a minute apiece at this pace. It's going to be tight within probably the final 10 seconds of the clock once we get towards that restart zone. Again, Easterday, you mentioned probably hoping that it stays green. Or rather, gets to that time. It's going to be interesting what we see, because really you don't know until you get to that start box.
Yeah, and how many times have we seen this on iRacing? It's almost impossible to predict. When races end under yellow on time like this, it's basically up to the whimsy of what iRacing decides. We sound confused, that's because we absolutely are. We simply don't know what's going to happen when they cross the line. But you know who else is really hoping that we do cross the line and get one more lap, Justin? Back in 7th place, G. Kuba. After losing the draft with that little incident with Eric Richardson, she is really hoping that we go back to green here, because she's got no damage on that car. Even after that little kerfluffle, there are damaged cars ahead of her, and she could get a little bit of luck here and race for that top 3 spot and some of those prizes.
Yeah, Packard, Ramsey especially have significant fender damage. Kuba can quickly, easily drive on by in this situation.
So the question is, Justin, when we cross the line here, will we take the white flag, or will we take 2 to go? 1 to go to the restart, 2 to go at the line. Let's see here. It's going to be so close. 49 seconds, 48 seconds, 47 seconds. I think Colton Easterday is about to get lucky here, because we are within 1 lap of green flag racing. I don't know if the white flag was shown. The white flag was indeed shown. We see it on the flag stand, and that confirms it. Colton Easterday will be winning this race when he comes around the next time, and with it, he will be winning that HP8 haptic pad, and that's going to be big for Colton Easterday. Nikki Bobby and Christopher Million get to come home with prizes as well, but what a story for Colton. He's led all day.
So it's important to mention that drivers have just gotten the white flag in the sim. Expect the white flag to now show once that time winds down here. But because the white lights are out on top of the pace car, it's going to get interesting once we get to the start and finish line. Sometimes we may see drivers at the race to the checkered. Easterday, I will say, very well deserved in how he's played this race. He played it clean. He played it smart. He showed the experience. He showed the strength of having Comic Sans numbers.
Justin just sold it. If you all aren't sold, this is just a tale of facts here. Colton Easterday in that familiar number 95, the dinner detective car. You do not have to be a detective to know that Colton Easterday was pretty much the strongest driver all day today. Packard put a great challenge to him, led a bunch of laps, but just got a little bit too aggressive. And in a day when Colton Easterday could have been one of those drivers who wrecked, as he did so many times in the PRL, he had the upper hand today, and he's about 0.75 of a mile away from getting a triumphant victory here. As we pace through turns 3 and 4, it's not going to be the most exciting way to win a race because it is going to be under caution, but it is going to be a triumphant race win either way. The green flag and the checkered flag are going to show simultaneously from the iRacing flag stand. The iRacing sedan pace car pulls off and lets Colton Easterday get a clean run to the line. And the number 95, it's a big day for Colton Easterday. He wins in Division 3 at Daytona in the Next Level Racing Speedway Showdown. And with it, he's going to be adding an HF8 haptic feedback gaming pad to that sim rig. And hopefully that gives him a little bit more luck in the future. Look at the face, not showing the emotion just yet, but you know Colton Easterday's feeling it as the donuts begin.
Knows it's time and knows it's clear to burn it on down. He was getting congratulations over the radio for a good lap and a half straight. Mind you, he hit the wall trying to do his first burnout, so at least he's improved on the second attempt.
Listen, once you won the race, you can do whatever you want on the burnouts. He, like Talking Heads said, was burning down the house there. Colton Easterday wins at Daytona. We'll see if he takes that confidence into his league racing exploits in the near future. Nicky Bobby comes home in second. He wins that Next Level Racing merch pack with that finish, and maybe, just maybe, in a couple of moments, we'll learn what his real name is. Third place goes to Christopher McMillian. He's going to feel like he won a McMillian because he's also going home with that Next Level Racing merch pack. And then you get to the unlucky drivers who were involved in that last caution. Brockton Packard, so aggressive, led so many laps, but it came back to bite him in fourth. Jonathan Morrison and Nathan Ramsey came home fifth and sixth. Steve Kuba, a little bit of bad luck there with the incident with Eric Richardson. She comes home in seventh. Belle Richardson and Natale rounded out the top 10. It's the camera princess himself, Zach Christie, who comes home in P11. Certainly going to be winning the hearts of the people at home, though. And then the used car lot of cars with heavy damage. Carrington, Bracker, Martinez. Poor old Jake Cummings never got off the line. But Justin, I think it's about time to talk to our race winner. I can't believe I'm saying this, Colton, but for once, I get to say race winner Colton Easterday. He's speechless. He's always had a little bit of trouble with his push to talk. Sometimes he has to take his hand off the wheel, but I think he's figuring it out. Colton Easterday, do you have a copy?
Does he have
to figure it out? He does have a mic. He does have a mic. He has to take his hand off the wheel.
Hello?
There he goes. We got
I forgot I have that push to talk you guys are always giving me crap about.
Indeed.
But, dude, I can't believe you're saying race winner either.
It seemed like you came into this race in a field with a lot of drivers who didn't have a lot of experience here at Daytona, but you definitely do. You showed a lot of it. Great fight with Brockton Packard. Talk us through that race, because it was dramatic all the way through.
Man, my foot was shaking that whole time. Like, I'm surprised I didn't use up so much fuel because I could not keep it calm. I appreciate those guys keeping it clean up front all the way they did. I know we had some hiccups, but that was a good race. That was a really good race.
So, Colton, I'm going to need you to move your head forward just a little bit, because look at that logo on the back of Colton Easterday's chair, Next Level Racing.
Yep.
And he's going to be increasing the Next Level Racing supply. You're going home with an HF8 haptic gaming pad. How's that going to feel in that sim racing setup? I bet that's going to be a good addition.
Well, I've actually been considering getting one for a while, so I can cross that off the checklist. So,
well, Colton, congrats on the win. I hope you can take this good run of form back to race spot with us in the PRL on Wednesday nights, and I guess we'll see you in a couple of days.
Yeah, thank you. See you guys on Sunday.
Sunday as well. Races in the PRL NASCAR Cup Series 2. Can't forget about that, Justin. Colton Easterday, the bad luck king over on Race Spot TV for so long. Hopefully this is the start of many, many good things. But we're going to talk to second place as well. Nicky Bobby is here with Justin. And I think, Justin, we're going to learn. Is that his true identity? Will we learn the real Nicky Bobby?
It's my first and middle.
Nice.
Nice indeed. But first things first, seemed like the race progressed where you're picking up a lot as the event went on. Talk us through that process where you go from your first bump draft to car spun to the inside to nearly pushing drivers like Packard to the win.
I have no idea how I even got here tonight, but yeah, that first lap wreck, I don't know what happened. It felt like he just tried to block the top line, then came down and cleared himself on me. I was holding straight, I know that. And then I saw the 49 go to the outside, and I just thought, oh, I hope you can take some hard hits because we're going to the front, and it worked.
And in turn, though, what was that scenario like to try and plan things forward, to try and see what can be done? Because it seemed almost like a pseudo alliance you formed with Packard by the end.
I think we just found that we work well together. You can't really plan for anything at Daytona. You just got to look for the openings and go. I'm surprised we weren't 3 wide most of the race, to be honest. But we probably would have gotten less laps in if we were.
Well, on the bright side, second place gets you in Next Level Racing merch pack. How excited are you about that merch pack?
I'm pretty stoked. I hope it has a lanyard in it. I've had a Next Level lanyard for about 4 years now that's pretty wore out, and I need something for my keys.
We'll see about that. I'm pretty sure we can find a way to make sure a lanyard's in there. We'll see. Thank you very much for your time, Nicky. Congrats on the second.
Yeah, thank you.
That's Nicky Bobby coming away in the second spot. McMillian riding at the top 3 here tonight. Chris McMillian able to pull into the top 3 to join Joey.
Indeed he is. Chris McMillian. Of course, with million in your last name, we kind of have to expect that you're going to have some great results here. Coming home in P3 in a race with a lot of incidents, it seemed like you were the only one who seemed to be able to stay out of trouble all race long.
Yeah, I was trying to stay in the back and wait for somebody else to mess up. But yeah, it was white knuckle all the way. I was just waiting for somebody to go out of that line and pack up with them.
Well, Chris, for finishing third, you're going to be going home with the Next Level Racing merch pack as well. We just talked to Nicky Bobby. He said he's looking forward to having a lanyard. He needs something new to put his keys on. What are you looking forward to? You want a t-shirt? You want something else?
How about $1 million?
If I had $1 million, you know, maybe we'll get the bare naked ladies involved. But I think you do have $1 million technically. They're just a $1,000,000.
Yes, sir. Like one of my old teachers said, they called me $500,000.
Well, I bet tonight you do feel like a McMillian. Chris, congrats on P3. We hope you enjoy your prizes, and thanks for participating. We'll see you next time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Chris McMillian going home with that NLR merch pack. We've got one more driver to talk to. I believe the driver who is probably going to be one of the fan favorites after the end of tonight. She Kuba comes home in 7th, but with the heart of many of the fans. She's with Justin Prince.
Yes, indeed. And first things first, how would you describe the race? It seemed to be wild for your... Is it an avatar? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I am a VTuber, so just virtual streamer. But yeah, I don't even know if I can call what I experienced the race. That was more like crash testing and trying to avoid all the wrecks, and ended up being in like 2 or 3 of them. I don't know. This is sadly very common for me. I have extremely bad luck.
Well, on the positive note, you're one of those with Eden Entertainment, which is a pro-diversity esports and content organization. How, in turn, would you describe the experiences on the sim racing side so far to be able to try and pounce your way through this pack? It seemed like a roller coaster at times.
Yeah, I will admit I had a hard time reading this pack. Usually when I do NASCAR, I always try to make sure I scan my opponent to see who I can trust, who might be a little bit dangerous. But this pack was kind of just like, this is the first time I could not read in a race. So kind of just played it by ear, tried to play it safe. Didn't get it. But honestly, I think it is good experience because any seat time is good seat time to me.
Yes, indeed. Well, congrats on the run. Thank you very much for the time, Chi.
Thank you.
Chi Kuba, amongst those in the top half of the running order for tonight's action. Back to you, Joey.
Would you believe, Justin, as I've said, that was not the only race tonight. We still have 2 more to go. Unbelievable. More Daytona action coming up because it is Division 2 time. 3 more prizes, a whole new field of drivers, and not just the same Daytona action, Justin, but even more Daytona action.
Yes, indeed, and a lot of drivers entered into this one. How about 35? That includes Zach Christie, who apparently has found the door to get into this race. But amongst the different prizes, too, a lot more at stake, but a lot more drivers to battle with for those stakes.
Gonna get dramatic, and I think all the fans at home can agree that, you know, Zach Christie, with some open spots in the field, you gotta have a fan favorite provisional. It's a little bit like the All-Star race in the real world. Sometimes you just have to let some of those fan favorites into the race. So we look forward to seeing him again there. But we do look forward to seeing quite a few more names in this field. A lot of drivers who we've seen in previous Next Level Racing events. A lot of drivers who we've seen elsewhere on iRacing. Even some of our fellow broadcasters, Justin, like Austin Knight. It's one step up, and it's going to be very exciting.
We've seen how Austin Knight performed the last time we had a Next Level Racing event a few weeks ago. But also keep in mind, Tyler Lugo Vickery amongst those who worked on the spotter stand earlier tonight in Division 3 races in this grouping. You also have a lot of other drivers who we expect to do well. Brian Sabelski, solid amount of super speedway experience and stock car experience. It's going to get interesting, though, to see how some of the others fare out. There are also a couple drivers with the NASCAR college experience in this grouping, too.
Love that college experience, but it is time for qualifying, Justin. We didn't quite get to see all of this in Division 3, but now we get to see some of the tips and tricks that always go into Daytona qualifying. It is not necessarily just stomp on throttle and turn left. You got to find the ways to get those thousandths of a second, those tenths of a mile per hour. Daytona qualifying is one of those tests of a driver where you need to know some of those, not cheats, but some of those ways to get around that lots of people don't know, and that's how you get an advantage in full throttle qualifying like this.
Yeah, and you have to, at the same time, though, be able to pick the right line. It's not as simple as, let's floor it around the bottom. No, you have to build up that momentum like a power band to be able to be quick on the second lap. Some drivers can argue, and have argued as of late, too, that it's actually quicker on the first lap in some circumstances, depending on the track conditions. So really, it's all down to driver preference, but also driver talent to be able to see, can they run the top of the groove? Can they run the bottom without clipping the apron? Can they arc it right? Right now, Fabio Zebrolini doing a solid job just riding the top around that aero bubble.
The number 327, that's one of the unique things about iRacing. In the real world, in NASCAR, you can't run 3-digit numbers, but I think that should really change because you can run 3-digit numbers on your stock car on iRacing, and I think we see a lot of unique things. The 327, nobody else is going to have that number, very easily identifiable, and Fabio Zamperlini trying to do it proud. 3 minutes to go on the clock. We're going to start to see times flowing in very, very soon here. I think Zamperlini is going to have a little bit of a non-telling lap time here. It's just a build-up lap, and now he sticks it down to the bottom, and he goes for the real one.
Yeah, and you can see it's almost a slow arc. It's not just as simple as get straight to the bottom. Some drivers you talk to for the NASCAR side, like Donovan Strauss comes to mind, for example, tell you almost running the middle after that trioval is quicker for a bit. Some like to go to the middle like this towards the seam, but not fully on top of it, per se, to be able to then get the arc for turn 3. Others, they just prefer to wrap the yellow line around the bottom like Vinnie McDonald here.
Vinnie McDonald, ironically of the Northwest Club, when he is very much on the southwest of the track here. You see James Bracker as well. It's not just Zach Christie who got to jump up from Division 3. It is James Bracker who gets to race once more, go for another chance at some of those prizes and hope for a little bit better luck. Vinnie McDonald going to bring it across the line here. 49.498 for Colton Mock is pole position. It's a 49.5 for Vinnie McDonald. Going to put him solidly in the top 10 for now in P6 on row number 3.
And that was the first lap, actually, going with that preferring to wrap the bottom momentum. Interestingly enough, amongst those in the field too, Wes Graham, more so known for his road course skills than LR. We'll see how he does in the idiot. Already top 5 in quali, though.
Starting to flow in. Colton Mock was living up to the Colton name, but Mason Grigel goes up to P3. Tyler Lugo Vickery, Bill Daniels, Connor Murphy. It's looking like a Christmas tree on the time.
Yeah, this is becoming extremely impressive for some of the drivers, though, but we expect, as with how tight the quali can be, McDonald, I'm curious, can he bump? He did set a faster time, but it's not enough to bump ahead of anybody except Austin Knight. Keep in mind when it comes to the race pace, once again, 46.4s. Some of the drivers hit in practice leading up to tonight. So with the drivers at this fixed set, we might see nearly to the 45-second bracket with how big this field is, depending on if they work together cleanly enough. That's a big if. Joey. Either way, as things play out, Austin Knight, we mentioned one of those with broadcast experience. Might see if that leads to things later on. Currently, once those done qualifying. Interesting enough, Lucas Gortman in this Division 2 race, someone also with high expectations, likes to go by the nickname Taco now, as already said qualifying laps. It's one of the drivers with one of the higher up setup shops, known for his short track racing skills. Keep an eye on from that back group into the 62. But as drivers complete the qualifying session here for Division 2, once again, 40 minutes, 50 laps on the board. Let's take a look at how they'll start in this one. Connor Murphy starts on the pole of 49.3, the best time, with Bill Daniels alongside. Tyler Lugo Vickery starts alongside Mason Grigel, with Nathan Biggart in 5th. Mark Allen Bivens starts in 6th with David Smith and Colton Mock in row 4. Nick Warnick along with Tyler Ratchford in 10th. James Bratcher amongst those looking to charge ahead to the 99 from 11th. But Trey McCrickard in 12th. Kyle Greniner in 13th. Tyler Wilson 14th. Troy Profit, longtime sim racer, known for racing a lot of official races, 15th. Wes Graham, known for racing a lot of next level racing events, starts 16th. Vinny McDonald starts 17th. Carlos Camargo in 18th. Miles Morris amongst those representing their setup shop backings today in 19th. Keith Fonseca in 20th. Justin Connor starts way back in the field in 21st with Austin Knight 22nd. Zach Christie looking at a clean run today after Division 3, seeing some flexing from the last car running on the track. Lucas Gortman in 24th. Brian Sabelski, the streamer, 25th. Rupert Carrington also a carryover from Division 3 in 26th. Roger Hurley, 27th. Fabio Zaberlini in 28th. Liam Mann starts off 29th. Adam Briggs in 30th. James Stewart, the last driver on time, with Kagan Spark in 32nd. Dimitri Petrini starts alongside Christian Rojas. Phil Brown starts alongside Biscayne Lawless. And the last driver is Harold Tucker III. Look top to bottom through the running order here for Division 2. Let's work through the Speedway Showdown, our second of 3 races.
Indeed, and just in time, Justin. How perfectly timed was that? My PC decided, you know what? Right now, we're going to go black. We're going to shut everything off. But we are back just in time to run off the grid here. And Justin, of course, as always, does a very good job of reading off those names. You know who's in the field. You know who's going to be racing for this win. And you know that we're about to have a lot more action here. 40 more minutes of racing. And I think a lot of these drivers were probably watching that previous race and thinking, how can we, first of all, not recreate those cautions? And how are we going to adjust our strategy with the knowledge that this race is going to go to time? We don't want to end under caution again. And you see all of those faces, some of them smiling, some of them focused. They're all thinking, how do we win this one? Win those 3 big prizes.
You can almost sense the mixture of, let's do this, to I'm calm, to those in the studio having a race with shining lights all around them.
I love this studio, Justin. I love the blank whiteness. It kind of makes you think you're in a dream or one of those like Black Mirror style dystopia things where they take your brain out and they put you in a blank space where you're just living to do sim racing. But there you see one of the next level racing guys with that fantastic camera rig getting that content. And that's a perfect time to remind you that we still have the special offer code Speedway Showdown here. If you input that code on nextlevelracing.com, you'll get 5% off on your next purchase of anything, excluding licensed products. But whether it's a motion rig, whether it's other accessories, whether it's seats or anything of the sort, you can get a 5% discount on that. And when you start talking about some of those high-end motion rigs, Justin, you're starting to talk about, 4 digits, 5 digits at times 5%. That's a big discount. That's hundreds of dollars that you could save with that 5% code. But all these drivers, they're hoping that they don't have to save anything. They're hoping they can win their way into Prize Town. And we're ready to go racing for the second time tonight at Daytona. It's Connor Murphy, Bill Daniels on the front row. Barney the Flagman has the green flag in hand. And for time number 2 tonight, it is racing o'clock at Daytona. Can already see with slightly more experience in this field, they're a little bit more packed up going into turn 1. They're a little bit more cautious, conservative, and courteous to each other. As Bill Daniels gets a nice push from Mason Griegel up on the top, he's going to the lead early.
Yeah, that top line, like we talked about, can build up and build up quickly. Already 3 wide building up in the heart of the pack, though. Some drivers like Wilson looking up high, one in the wall.
No caution's going to come out for that there. No caution on lap 1. We're going to cross the line with Mason Griegel leading. No, he isn't. Markelin Bivens to the lead. Across the line, Colton Mock coming with him.
Yeah, those were the Team Watson-backed cars up in the field. She's now dictating the top and more contact to the wall. It's so tricky to run the top and another car's up in it. It's Tyler Wilson.
Oh, scraping against the wall. No caution still. Everybody's doing a fantastic job of avoiding some of this drama. But eventually, we're going to get double file here again. That eventually is not right now, though, as you see one of the Team Watson racing cars trying to go for the lead with a little bit of a blink. When you're 3 wide and you don't know where the other car is, that does not bode very well. Still near contact coming off of turn 4, and they are wrecking in the background. The caution does finally come out with the big one from about 14th back.
You can almost tell that was bubbling over and quickly. It just happened at the back instead of the front, but my goodness is all I can say. 3 wide, and some drivers like Carrington might be the triggers here with about a quarter of the field now with damage.
Yeah, Carrington, another one of those drivers who came up from Division 3, got a second chance here. He is involved at the back of the field there. Roger Hurley definitely got damage there. Justin Connor, Dimitri Petriti, Troy Profit, Christian Rojas. Then you already see some drivers down pit road. Kyle Dillard, one of them with heavy damage. But now we take a little bit of a moment to breathe, Justin. We got a lot of drama there in the opening laps. Calm down for a moment, think about what happened, and let's watch some of these body panels fly.
A lot of broken tie rods, a lot of the new damage model really being showed off. Some hard slams to the inside wall. That was Harold Tucker, the third there in that sequence. But amongst those already with mandatory repairs, Justin Connor with a broken tie rod, Adam Briggs, James Dillard, Liam Mann, all with broken cars. Miles Morris is already saying he's having a bent part of the race car to the middle. If you start at the back, well, congratulations. You know, likely have to deal with some significant damage.
Yeah, still trying to, Nick Dwarnick is actually going to bring it down the pit road this time. Was trying to see if he was going to come down or not with damage. He's elected, you know what? It's time to bring it down. I might be thinking a little bit about fuel coming up as well if we do get a green flag run. But I have a feeling, Justin, with more cars in the field, with the drama we've seen already, if you're thinking about long green flag runs, if you're thinking about fuel saving, that might not necessarily be the strategy to go for. I think we're going to have at least a couple more cautions where you'll be able to save a little bit more fuel.
Yep, indeed. And that is something drivers have already discussed a little bit. Possibly 6 gallons if we were to go green is now the calculation some of the drivers have already done in this split, which is about right to make it to the end on a splash. But again, when you have cautions, the more cautions you have, the more you have to think about the time in this circumstance. By the way, I'm very curious how drivers like Daniels do ask for some storylines from some of the drivers themselves, saying, what's an interesting factoid that you like us to mention? Well, Daniels just so happened to have rescued a puppy named Sabrine Smits after the German driver near Road America. An intern looking to drive around with that brand new puppy nearby. Some drivers looking to see if they can fix those tie rods at this point, like Justin Connor.
Yeah, some drivers are sick puppies after that little incident. Still seeing Roger Hurley with heavy damage. Liam Mann, Harold Tucker still getting repairs. But when we get to the line here, it'll be 1 to go to the green, and we will get some Daytona racing once more. Just a reminder about the prizes at stake in this race. Not the same as the Division 3 race. We take 1 step up. Third place will still be getting that Next Level Racing merch pack. Second place, still going to get that HF8 haptic feedback pad that Colton Easterday got. But first place, we'll be getting that brand new GT Lite Pro. Justin, you've been very excited about that all night. It's a new product, fresh off the shelves. And right now it's Mason Griegel getting it, but he's going to have to fight very, very hard to hang on to this special new prize that wasn't even announced until tonight.
Yes, indeed. Just came out last week, in fact. $2.99 US, about $3.99 Canadian to about $3.26 Canadian, depending on the conversion rate in the location. But it's important to mention when it comes to that, it allows that ability to have something portable, but also brings that foldable style to be able to build it quickly, but also allows that ability to put an entry-level direct drive onto it. So it has that sturdiness to be able to handle that force of Newton meters to shake around that wheel and bounce and bang on that car and or on that seat, all while being able to get into that comfortable seating position. And that's critical to consider. Is for some, they like that versatility to be able to carry it everywhere, but also wanted to be versatile enough in terms of its strength to be able to handle all those bumps and bangs around on that wheel, and that's what this does.
We're about ready to go racing once more here. Something I noticed, Justin, about Mason Griegel at the head of the field. I'm scrolling down through the order. I see very few drivers with a 4.99 safety rating on iRacing. For those of you who aren't necessarily as experienced with iRacing as some of us, safety rating, basically, as simple as you can get it, goes up if you don't get into incidents, goes down if you get into a lot of incidents, and if you are at that mythical 4.99, that is as high as you can go. That shows that you're one of the cleanest of the clean drivers. You're not getting into too many incidents, and if you're Mason Griegel at Daytona, you're definitely trying to ride on that to stay out of any trouble.
Yeah, that's what 1,252 oval starts, believe it or not. So he is solid when it comes to keeping things clean in his respective splits in official races. It's going to be the question, can he keep it clean? We've seen how quick the top line has built up momentum already tonight. That's not going to be easy to hold off.
The iRacing Sedan pace car goes to its nest on pit road, and Mason Griegel flies back to green here at Daytona. It's a good jump for him, trying to keep Mark Allen Bivens with him. Bill Daniels on the outside trying to work with David Smith in that 48, hoping he has an ally behind him. But for now, it's Mark Allen and Mason to the front.
And already several drivers did not get great launches. Austin Knight, he's already moved up 22nd to 11th, avoided all the trouble. Just trying to build up the run up to 5th gear at this point, and working with Wes Graham at the tail end of the main pack.
Representing Texas back there. I believe Austin Knight is from Texas. Got the COTA track map behind him. And always, as we always have to give some bias from the commentators in the booth, a fellow iRacing commentator for a long time. So we've definitely got a soft spot for Austin Knight. Doesn't look like he's doing much commentating of himself, though. Stone-faced, focused, trying to move his way forward up into the top 10 here. He's doing a great job of that. And a guy with a lot of experience, both behind the wheel and watching people behind the wheel. He's definitely going to be a threat here for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, that top line especially, you're already seeing, is just not working right now to be able to roll. Anyone on that top line is being left in the dust like Daniels with how things are playing out here. That bottom line with those numbers is the only line, the choo-choo train line.
You can see how far back Bill Daniels and his old buddy have fallen back. Does Austin Knight decide to move up to the top? No, he does not. You see him going for a little bit of a radio message there. I think letting people know it's not time to go just yet. I'm going to ride for a little bit longer here in 7th. Lifts out, but the caution is out in the back of the pack. In the second pack, actually, they weren't joined up with this lead pack. You see a few drivers at the back of the field. I think Vinnie McDonald may have been involved. Kagan Spark made it through. But for the second time tonight, Justin, we find ourselves under yellow.
Well, Once again, track position is very important when it comes to super speedway racing. You either want to be at the back to avoid the trouble and have a chance to check up, or you like to be at the front and be in front of the trouble, hoping it's all at the front. Guess what? All the trouble's been at the back so far, and a lot of drivers who didn't do well in qualifying have a lot of damage. Zach Christie slipping up just to the middle line for a second, and that sparks the big one.
That is the big one indeed. Lots of drivers involved. You see the 26 with a lot of damage there. That's Miles Morse. A couple more guys pile in. Harold Tucker, I think, got more damage. I think Biscayne Lawless may have been involved. You see a couple more just trying to flail around and get back going. Eventually, Zach Christie gets it pointed straight again, but a lot of drivers going to the back of the field, and Christie doesn't look too displeased. And I think while we have him on Zoom here, while we have him under caution, let's do a little bit of something we can only do on iRacing, and that's drag Zach Christie here into the booth mid-race. Zach, talk us through what happened there in that caution.
I don't know, boys. I was just minding my own business, and I saw them all come up behind me, and that was the last of it. All I know is that I was spinning and going crazy.
So this is your second race of the night. We saw you in Division 3, moving up to Division 2 here. How have you been liking this combo, the next gen at Daytona?
The next gen is definitely a really cool car, for sure. I do love them because they're very similar to the cars that we have here in Australia, the good old supercars, but just without the aero. I think they're underneath the car, so yeah.
Of course, comparing that to the supercars, we've been doing that a lot over the past couple of weeks with our old buddy Shane Van Gisbergen, with Brody Kostecki. Brody Kostecki coming over as well. Are you riding with the spirit of Shane Van Gisbergen tonight? Are you hoping you can turn this into a victory in your second try?
Definitely. I definitely looking forward to trying to turn it into a victory of some sort. Brody, I know Brody a little bit myself, so hopefully Brody, I know he's really good at the middle pack, so hopefully I can be just as good as him in the middle pack, so and try and fight my way through the front. So I know I did that on the start really well. I just got a really bad restart on the second start, so hopefully I can take what I did in the first start to get back up. I don't know how much damage I've got, but hopefully it's not much, so see what I can do.
And I do have to ask you one more thing. We've seen a lot of drivers on Zoom tonight. We've seen them in their bedrooms, in their sim rooms, but you're there in the Next Level Racing studio. You're in a sea of white. It must feel like you're in a dream right now, and look at that. We get a view from the outside behind Mr. Zach Christie with all those sim rigs there. It's a whole new experience.
Definitely. I've had the privilege to drive from the studio as well as my own sim. Definitely doesn't beat your own sim, but the sims that Next Level Racing provide, even though I work here, they provide is second to none. The quality of these products are definitely really good. So I definitely recommend it to anyone who's looking to upgrade, especially the new GT Lite Pro. If you want something a bit foldable, it's definitely quite good for sure. If you're a little bit tight on space and you can't get a good old Elite 160 like the Ferrari or something like that. So yeah, definitely some good products that we've got on display here.
That is a salesman right there. That's how you do it. Zach Christie.
What's up, baby?
Exactly. Going back to racing here in a couple of moments, but thanks for talking to us, Zach, and good luck in the next 20 minutes or so.
All good, mate. Thank you very much. And yeah, thanks to the boys for putting it on. It's always a privilege to race for Next Level Racing. So yeah, and good job to you guys at Race Spot. So hopefully I'll talk to you after be on the podium, you know what I'm saying?
Indeed. We'll see if that happens. Zach Christie, we'll let him get back to the action, talking to those people in that Next Level Racing studio. But Justin, first of all, that tells me I got to buy some Next Level Racing equipment. He's a fantastic salesman. And that also tells me I got to get down to Australia. I got to get to that studio.
It is an interesting studio to race along, but also be able to race with some of that top equipment, mind you. It looks very comfortable and can say it is a lot of comfortable equipment that lots of sim racers these days are becoming very preferential too, because that versatility we talked about.
And Justin, you should be proud of me because I didn't even break out my Australian accent in that whole interview.
Please don't do that again.
I really lost it at the end. I really choked.
That was 200% Australian.
I mean, it may have been the very condensed ideal of an Australian accent. I've been listening to too much John Williamson lately, but we are ready to go back racing again here, Justin, believe it or not. And it's a very familiar sight up front because, as you said, the cautions have been kind of further back. The guys up front have been very well behaved. But in the previous race tonight in Division 3, even the guys at the front have found ways to get a little bit silly, get a little bit goofy, maybe even a little bit kooky, and take each other out. But we're ready to go racing once more here as the iRacing Sedan pace car is starting to get deja vu, Olivia Rodrigo style, pulling down pit road. And Mason Griegel might be getting a little bit of deja vu up front, but that's not going to displease him too much. Back to green at Daytona. It's the number 11 leading us back to green.
Nicely done up to the gears, but again, these packs just continuously getting separated with how some of the drivers are playing things out through the gears. Already though, Bivens, one of the youngest drivers of the field, a driver that just started in go-karts this year, and making some friends on that top line already.
A little bit wiggly, a little bit further back for Connor Murphy, but Mark Allen Bivens doing a great job up on the top. It's the 18 of Tyler Lugo Vickery, though, that's given Mason Griegel a fantastic push to the front. You see Mark Allen on the top in the 76. Down on the bottom, Carlos Camargo. Haven't said much about him so far tonight, but he is running strong in third, as we're already seeing 3 wide further back and a little bit of looseness as Bivens gets pushed to the lead.
Nicely done, but Nathan Biggert, also one of the newer sim racing drivers, just started sim racing a couple months ago, mind you. Already getting some work to be able to try and get that outside working up on the wall.
Does he go down to the bottom, or is he happy to work with Bivens? I think he's happy to work with him for the moment. Takes a little peek to get some air on the nose, but is not going down there. You know who is, though? Keith Fonseca on the 61. It's a little bit of contact in the back. I think I saw Colton Mock in the wall. They may be wrecking on the back straight as everybody checks up, but no caution's going to come out for that. We're still clean up front. And Nathan Biggert goes to the lead. Oh, and the caution does come out indeed. I spoke a little bit too soon, but they kept wrecking down the back straight. Who was leading at the time of the caution, though? I think it was Biggert. He's going to get the lead for now.
I think it was more so turn 3 because it almost looked like some of the checkups were getting massive. We're talking 20-mile-an-hour checkups. And Joey, when they check up hard like that, somebody usually hits somebody.
They check up hard, they check up big. I think that's one of Newton's laws of physics. I think that's guaranteed to happen in the physical world. But Nathan Biggert, great job by him to end up front. Not so great job for some of these drivers out back checking up for the accident. That's the 327 of Fabio Zamperlini involved, the 5 of Dimitri Petriti, and a few others getting some heavy damage there. The smoke is flying over Daytona, and quite a few more drivers have the misfortune of going down pit road again. No fast repairs. It is all slow repairs. It's all the old natural way.
Take a look who's in third place, though. We've talked about how track position is critical. A lot of drivers can cut through the field. Guess who's cut through the field? Fonseca up 17 spots already. And we've ran 13 total laps, about a quarter of those under caution. Partly that has just been avoiding the trouble with some of the stack-ups.
Sometimes that's all you can do at Daytona. It's almost impossible to predict because sometimes you go into Daytona thinking it's going to be a wreck fest. You say, you know what, I'm just going to hang at the back. I'm going to avoid all the drama. And then they somehow manage to go caution free. And then other times you say, you know what, I'm going to be aggressive this time. I'm going to go to the front, and you end up getting taken out. It's almost impossible to do the right thing around here. Tyler Lugo Vickery is doing something very interesting. I don't know if that's the right thing. He's bringing it down pit road under this caution, maybe to stay out of some of the shenanigans up front, or maybe he has some damage that we don't know about. I have a feeling it's the former.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it's more so the fuel mileage once again, yeah. So that might be the big play, thinking, does this come to that point? Can we regather ourselves up, try and find some friends towards the back? That's not easy said than done, though, with this field, because, again, Lotstroll's been back there. Again, though, Tyler's been on the sim for a fairly long time and usually runs in anything that has a special event like this one.
Got the carousel of entertainment here with a lot of those Zoom enthusiasts, the drivers who are very thankfully showing us their faces here. But Tyler, where has he come out after that pit stop? That's what I need to know. The exact number, 28th place. Not ideal, but there is still lots of time left to go in the race. I believe the clock will read about 14 minutes in a couple of moments' time. It will be a race against time here, and he's going to be hoping that that is enough time to drive his way back forward through the field, stay out of any more trouble, and maybe fight for the win once more. But Mark Allen Bivens, Justin, I do want to give him a shout out as well. In that familiar Team Watson Racing setups paint scheme, lots of it's a very familiar setup shop to a lot of us on iRacing, and he's doing a great job doing that justice.
Yeah, and one of their young prospects, as we talked about, around 16 years old currently. I feel very old thinking about the year 2007 as a birth year at this point, and the fact that Bertie Kostecki is actually already 25 in terms of the Aussie discussion. But again, we talked about this on the go-kart side. Just started off racing in various go-karts out in Arkansas. 17-time winner back in 2021. I'm curious to see if we see lots of Bivens in the near future. One of the young guns trying to make a name for themselves in real-world motorsports.
Well, if he keeps winning down there, we're going to have to rename the state, Justin. Markansas.
Oh, that was not the greatest.
I think it was okay. It wasn't a big joke. It was just a little rock.
Oh my, that was a D- joke now.
But now I don't know any other cities in Arkansas, so I'm all out of luck.
I actually don't know. Fayetteville?
Maybe. I think that does exist. Justin knows more about Arkansas than me, and he's across the border.
Well, either way, though, you have to consider that Bivens does have some technical alliance mates in that regard if we're going to go towards that direction. The problem is they're at the back of the field. Morse, one of the drivers to keep an eye on from that camp in the 26, has a long way to go to help out the youngster.
Some stragglers out of the back. I think they were getting some of their last seconds of repairs, trying to make sure that car's as fast as possible as we go back to green. Fabio Zamperlini is going to be able to get back in line, I think. Christian Rojas and Dimitri Petridi will be rejoining the fray here because they know there's still a lot of action to go. The clock is correct. There are 18 minutes of racing to go, probably about 17 at the line. That adds up to about 18 laps of racing, so it will be a decently long run, and we are going to have a great time here. Nathan Biggert, one of the least experienced drivers in the field, but one of the highest I ratings in the field. Nothing could be bigger for him than a win here. But Mark Allen Bivens is going to be giving him the bivness on the outside. The iRacing sedan pace car retreats to its turtle shell, and we go back to green at Daytona once more. Biggert, Bivens, it's double B up front.
Oh, a little bit of contact already at row 5 outside. Mock getting ran to the back end by Gortman. And I'm not sure what Lugo Vickery is going to have happen here because this does not look comfy 3 wide at the back.
He gave the wheel a little smack. He's getting frustrated with a big checkup at the back of the field behind Brian Shabelski. I don't think he was the cause of the checkup. He's a very experienced driver, but a few drivers not quite getting going as fast as he wanted. Getting frustrated back there, but up front, Biggert, Bivens, the battle up front. Fonseca's going to push Biggert to the front, but there is a massive crash into turn 3. And I think the caution's going to come out immediately here. Somebody got hooked into the wall. No caution. They're still pointed straight, but that was huge.
Lucas Gortman not going to be happy because he was the one who just got hooked. Now they're going 3 wide on the apron in the second pack. The lead pack is very clean. The second pack that has a chance at huge runs right now is looking like they're having, I don't know, a tango match or a dive underneath the bar match.
Something like that. It's getting crazy back there, and the pack has diminished. It has almost literally been decimated here as we have 12 cars left in the lead pack. Biscayne Lawless just trying to hang on, but there is Austin Knight, I believe, getting turned down the back straight. No caution going to come out for that as well because he is on the apron. He is in the grass, but they are getting into all sorts of trouble back there.
Still have 16 minutes of racing to go. It's way too early to do all this. The lead group, I think, has the right idea. Try and be a little patient. Try and get lines going. Change that mark for a lot of the people at the back. That is up the middle by Lawless. And that puts Gortman, one of the contenders, in the wall. Mandatory damage, too.
Gortman, unfortunately, kablamoed, kind of turned that car into a modified with that new damage model there. But things are actually quite calm up front here. It's surprising in this race. We've got sort of an epicenter here. We've got the eye of the storm with everybody just trying to be behaved. Connor Murphy, though, trying to prove me wrong. Can't decide if he wants to be on the top or the bottom. He chooses the top, and he chooses the push from the 48 of David Smith, but he's getting all sorts of wiggly.
Yeah, I'm not liking this. A lot of these drivers don't look too comfortable right now. Not really holding the lines well either. And when you can't hold the lines, you can't really bump efficiently, let alone draft efficiently.
There's Zach Christie down in the apron, just trying to let everybody by. Very respectful driving from him, not to cause any trouble. Connor Murphy and David Smith still just having a little bit of an argument. He can't seem to hold a line in a straight line. He's trying to clear himself over the O2 of Kagan Spark. Cannot do that. He's stuck in the middle now, as the Turkey-sponsored car, seemingly, of Kagan Spark is going to make it 3 wide with Murphy and Bill Daniels.
Yeah, I could see that happening with how loose Murphy was having going in a straight line. But already a crash on the front stretch. Still no caution yet. Might now come out as they are wrecking in the second pack.
There it is. Kostradamus there, Justin Prince predicting it, and we are under yellow once more as there is a parking lot on the front straight seemingly. Vinnie McDonald has to tow it back to the pits. I think Tyler Ratchford may have taken a little bit of a bite out of it as well, but we are under yellow once more. Trying to resolve the finishing order here, trying to do a little bit of an autopsy to figure out who was involved. James Bracker gets turned down the tri-oval and then tries to stay out of trouble, but everybody wrecks behind him, and Zach Christie's involved as well.
All I'm going to say there is, why? Why are we trying to pass when we don't have anyone in front to draft with? At that point, you work with the driver in front of you. You don't go for the pass. If anything, that slows you down, and we see what happened. They just ended up having the contact.
I think Colton Mock may have been one of the drivers involved there. Kyle Gertner, lots of trouble, and a lot of drivers just trying to resolve the order here. You see Rupert Carrington just parked there, basically trying to stay out of the way, but they're wrecking under caution as the 48 of David Smith gets into somebody. I don't know why we're wrecking under caution. I don't know why we're on the apron, but hopefully they resolve everything momentarily.
And that's just called not paying attention. You do not stop, first of all, in that spot, even if you're trying to let people go, trying to get sorted for the pace car. Half the field is half a track behind. So we're lucky not to have more damage from that situation, but all I can say is all these cars going full throttle do not know they are stopped in the racetrack. What can you do here?
Exactly. If you're going to do that, I mean, he's basically adding a chicane to the racetrack, which that only exists in the road course part of this track. So Rupert Carrington probably had about the size of the state of Alabama to get out of the way there. He's going to get the lucky dog, though, to get back up front. I think somebody in the Twitch chat pointed out that I think the pace car has led the most laps tonight. So we're going to have to figure out who's behind the wheel of that. We might have to send them the next level racing prize at the end of tonight. But we will go back green here in couple of minutes, and we'll have quite the run to the end because we're going to restart with single digits of laps here and quite a few drivers up front who have shown a lot of speed. Biggert has led laps. Griegel has led laps. Bivens has led laps. Fonseca hasn't led laps, but he's been an excellent pusher. I couldn't tell you who's going to win this race.
Camargo, I'm very curious about, and that 35 has been very quiet in that simability car, for example. Daniels didn't make too many friends with how poor the launch was the last time I had a restart from the outside line. But I'm more so interested in Wes Graham. Not because he's got the paint scheme with an LR on it, but because he's been a driver with experience in these events before. He's been a driver who's done very well in these events before. Guess who I threw in that conversation, if it comes down to it, to be one who can make the passes? Wes Graham.
And you know what his username is on basically every platform? It's Wes the Mess. So he's got a lot of experience with messy races, with making his way through messes. Who else to survive the mess and win the mess but Wes the Mess?
I don't think he's going to be the cause of the mess. If anything, he's kept away from the messes, has not caused any messes of trouble.
It's like how you have two magnets sometimes. You try and push them together. They don't stick together. I think if Wes is a mess himself, he is mess phobic, and he'll avoid the mess because he is the mess. Something like that. I'm not a physicist.
Well, again, we've seen him do well on the road course side, too. That's why he comes up so much in terms of the memory, because this is his predominant platform. He did solid in a type of field he wasn't comfortable in a couple times already in next-level racing events. So I think Graham, when you throw him onto a preferred track like this one, he might be in a good spot if he can get win number 5 of the year, including the official races.
And you know who's going to be restarting right behind Wes Graham? It is Mr. Questionable Pit Stop himself, Tyler Lugo Vickery, TLV as I'm going to call him from now on. He's in 11th place, and he's on fresher tires than anybody in the field. Not going to be much of help, but he's shown a lot of pace too. He could be the one who slices and dices his way through.
I agree. Keep in mind, Lugo Victory, I think, knows from the last race too. When you talk about the 18, for example, with how drivers were playing things on the old tires at the end of the last race before the caution flew to end Division 3's action, the drivers the second in line on back in some cases were nearly spinning it out into the corners. I think that might be his play since he avoided the chaos there. He might be able to outpower drivers on the entry to pass them if he gets the right help.
So what you're saying, Justin, is it could be a Tyler Lugo victory.
Possibly.
I gotta make sure I don't use those too early. I gotta save those for the end of the race.
That was a great C- dad joke.
Oh, I'm getting downgraded. This is just like college.
All I'm gonna say though is if you're Kagan and Sparking Company, you have to close up this gap. Because if you're this far back, some of these drivers are, you are not gonna gather up enough momentum for 2 laps.
A little bit blinky Annapolis for Mark Allen Bivens up on the top. He's got to resolve those internet issues. But I think he's just been kicked out of the session. That is such a shame. But we are going to go green once more here. The iRacing Sedan pace car goes home for the night. And we restart once more. Nathan Biggert with the green nose puts that nose to the green flag. Fonseca on the outside. Camargo working with him. Biggert got a big jump over Griegel, and that's going to allow Fonseca and Camargo to work together and get the push.
Perfect restart, but again, top line, better line. Fonseca now going to have to play the lines. That top line is not working out the best in terms of the numbers.
No, it is not. Lots of slicing and dicing further back, and you see Keith Fonseca moving up, but he gets turned. Fonseca, Camargo, and the 19 of Biggert get turned on the back straight, and the caution comes out again. This time, though, we will get a restart. We will go back to green. It's a question now of who's the leader, as Wes Graham just taken the lead.
I don't even think that was from the block. If anything, that was more so Camargo getting hooked around while trying to hold onto the top, knowing the block was failing. The problem was he wasn't fully up to the wall. And that's where that came in. A lot more skewed to the right was the 35, and there goes all your contenders into the grass.
Race has been blown wide open here. Wes Graham, Bill Daniels, Mason Griegel up to the top 3, and the top 3 got taken out. Remember, the top 3 do get prizes here, and it could very well be a very different top 3 than we thought. And we've just heard from the admins, Justin, shortening this caution 1 lap, so we will go back to green 1 lap earlier. That's going to give us maybe 2 laps of racing to the finish instead of just 1.
Guess who's the leader, though, because of all that?
It's old Wes the mess.
And again, he avoided everyone else's messes there. Bill Daniels with that puppy looking to try and move forward. And then you have Griegel, who's just been riding along up and down 1st to 5th most of the night. I'm more so curious on the person up 31 spots. Biscayne Lawless apparently has a lot of supporters, friends, and family keeping an eye on the 24. It's in 5th now.
Well, I mean, it's only fitting, Justin, because this race has had so many cautions, so much trouble that some might say it's a little bit lawless out there. How fitting that the lawless driver himself would be up front in that 24, and he's going to get a shot at the victory. It's also fitting because Biscayne, that is a bay in Florida. We're at Daytona in Florida. It's all coming up for him. It's like it's rigged for him.
That is a driver actually based out of Pennsylvania, so not a relation.
Even better. I gotta tag my bias here, Justin. I can't be too biased against towards the PA drivers, but a PA driver, 2 Florida names. If he doesn't win this race, I think the script writers have got to get back to work.
Yeah, already keep in mind the driver that's in 5th. Pretty active actually on iRacing subreddit if you look things up. Always talking sim racing and always posting about what to improve on, what did I do wrong, how do I figure out the damage algorithm, because well, the reason that's relevant, he's got damage right now, so he's gonna have to hope for that. Oh, and he's now a content creator too.
Love those content creators, always a big fan. But look at this, the Randy Chenoweth caution that's been shortened by 1 singular lap here. That means we're gonna go back to green here with about 3 minutes on the clock, I think. And if my math is correct, I failed Calc 2, so I don't know if it will be. I think that's going to be 4 laps to go at the line. So it'll be a reasonably long run, assuming everybody stays out of the walls, assuming we stay green. We're going to have quite the race to the finish.
I think this is about to be eventful. They're already pushing on the outside line. That should already tell how urgent this is about to get here.
A little bit of practice for the restart here. The iRacing Sedan pace car, it is certainly wearing those right side tires, but once more, it's going to pull below the yellow lines and disappear into its abode. And Wes Graham, Wes the Mess, is going to retake the lead here. He'll take us back to green with a driver who's led many, many laps to his outside, Mason Griegel. But it's Wes leading us to the point. He's got a push from Bill Daniels behind. Daniels trying to lock bumpers with him, trying to make the bottom work better than it did on the previous restart, but everybody fanning out already.
Look like Connor Murphy's trying to wind it up, set up for the back, or he can clear himself. That's not smart.
What a save, but they're not going to save it further back. Somebody turned around backwards, no caution, but now there is. As a Bracker ends up in the wall off of turn 2, Murphy spinning down to the apron. 2:48 left to go. I don't know if you can shorten the caution much more and bring us back to green. Wes Graham is in a great position here, and I think he might just take this win.
I'm not sure what Murphy was trying to do outside of get into a gap that was not really there, because there was a car already inside, and it's important to mention, even if that worked, most times you go top to bottom, the weight shift spins you around. In this case, there was a car there to help speed the process.
I think Wes Graham is going to be a very, very happy camper right now, because I don't believe we can mathematically go back to green here. Unless we delete every single caution lap, I don't think we will go back to green here. So Wes Graham can celebrate early. Bill Daniels going to be our second place finisher, and I believe as everything cycles out, Mason Griegel should be in third, so he'll be going home with a prize as well. But this was only race 2 of the night, by the way. I do have to remind people, we do have one more race coming up, Division 3, the highest level, and that's going to be a full 50-lap race with a guaranteed green flag finish with green-white checkers. We will see a finish there, but for now, Division 2, looks like Wes Graham's going to come home with the win. Let's take a look at what happened in turn 2, though.
Yeah, this more so in terms of the aftermath and all of that chaos. Drivers seeing what's happening. Tyler Wilson is getting hit across by several different competitors. But I think that's more so the after fact of what happened up in front because of what was going on there, but also the fact of just checking up preemptively.
It's a question of whether Wes Graham here will get 2 victory laps or 1 victory lap. I have a feeling it's going to be 2 here. We crossed the line with 50 laps to go. They are side by side up front, but nobody else is. I got my hopes up a little bit there, hoping the lights would be out in the pace car, but I think it is too late for a restart here. if you're Wes Graham right now, you got to feel very, very good right now, and you've got to feel like you've got some good fortune, because he was, what, 10th when we mentioned him last time? 9th? Then the wreck happens directly in front of him. He slices and dices his way through the field, finds himself in P1 as the caution comes out. It's a little bit of luck at Daytona always, but it's definitely a lot of skill that got him here.
Sorry about an apology over the radio. Connor Murphy apparently thought with the spotter that it was clear and went for it. Fortunately, the hole was not there, but for Wes Graham, able to stay out of the trouble. Well done for Wes Graham. We're out of time at the clock. Final lap.
Yes, we did take the white flag here, so this will be Wes Graham's caution victory lap in a way, and he will be going home with the GT Light Pro, the newest prize. It was kept secret until tonight. It's one of the newest products, and he is not just going home with an NLR Speedway Showdown win, but he is going home with a delicious GT Light Pro prize. But he's still got a couple more corners to go. Can't celebrate the win just yet. You do have to cross the line. What a race for him. What a race for Bill Daniels as well. He's been up front all day. I'm sure he wishes we could have had a run to the finish, because he definitely had pace to win. But he will be coming home in second as well. Mason Griegel led all those laps early. Didn't cause any drama himself, was involved in a little bit of it and fell back. He's going to come home in third. But for now, led by the iRacing sedan pace car, it's going to be a crawl to the finish for Wes Graham. I don't know, Justin, has he won one of these next level racing events before? Do we have the stats there?
I'm not quite sure, but I already know this. He's been a contender in some of them for a reason.
Well, under pace speed, a little bit slower than he would have liked, but a win all the same. Wes Graham crosses the line and wins Division 2 with the Next Level Racing Speedway Showdown. He's going home with that GT Light Pro wheel. Unreleased until a week ago, and just as it goes on the shelves, it's going on Wes Graham's shelf, as is the trophy.
Race control just conferring. Field is locked in, even though it still shows white flag to the drivers. Looks like things are locked in. Well done to the top three, able to survive the craziness. Or at the least have taken the white regardless. This is how they'll finish.
Indeed, and I might have to repeat the win call, you know, Justin, just for the sake of the records. But either way, Wes Graham has won this race. I'm trying to find right now as we pace the actual retail price of that GT Light Pro, because I believe it is
$299.
$299. Quite the valuable little trophy there. That's a pretty good prize to win if you're Wes Graham.
Yes, indeed it is. A nice, comfortable prize to be able to drive around in, to be able to zip around racetracks in. Mind you, that's all part of that that combination that they've partnered up with Ford, mind you, too. Very not fitting that it's a Toyota who wins this division.
We'll block it off. We'll Photoshop that after the race. We'll get the thumbnail sorted out. We'll get the Ford logo on the front of that Camry. It'll look like an ARCA car, but you know we'll fulfill the sponsor obligations there.
I don't think that's how that works. I think Ryan Luza accidentally had the wrong car once and won the race, and they kind of made it work. They couldn't cover the logos on the car, though, for the manufacturer.
It does start to get a little funky with those iRacing paint templates there. But for real this time, I believe we're going to cross the line. The checkered flag is officially out. And as if it wasn't real enough for Wes Graham, he is finally going to officially cross the line to officially win. Wes the Mess was the best at Daytona.
Sounded better the second time.
It did. That's going to be the one for the highlight books.
But indeed, just played it right, stayed out of the messes. And looks like some of the drivers just already ready for the congratulatory vroom vroom.
Vroom vroom indeed, like Charlie XCX said, you gotta do it. Wes Graham, Bill Daniels, Mason Griegel, your top three. We're gonna talk to all of them in a matter of moments. And I have a feeling we might get to talk to some of our other favorite drivers as well, because Division 3 is coming up in a matter of moments. But we have the results and the winners and the prize winners of this race to talk to here soon before we go racing. Wes Graham victorious at Daytona over Bill Daniels and Mason Griegel. Wes gonna go home with that GT Light Pro wheel. Bill Daniels going home with that HF8 haptic gaming feedback pad. and Mason Griegel going home with an NLR merch pack. Connor Murphy and David Smith rounded out the top 5. They both had solid runs. Biscayne Lawless, the Pennsylvania driver, seemingly the most Floridian driver in the field, though, finishes 6th. And then Dwarnick, Spark, Tucker, and Ratsford all involved in some trouble tonight, but they had some good luck to end up in the top 10 at the end of it all. Tyler Lugo Vickery took a risk coming into the pits, didn't quite pay off. He ends up 11th. And Christian Rojas, who was in the back of the field after one of the first cautions, drives his way up into the top dozen. McDonald, Morse, Gertner, Camargo, Knight, McCrickard, Shabelsky, and Bracker round out the top 20 in the field. But the hits keep on coming. Fonseca so close to the win, fighting up front before he got turned on the final lap. Wilson and Petriti were the last drivers on the lead lap with him. Troy Profit and Colton Mock went 1 lap down each themselves. Zamperlini, Brown, Christie, Biggert, and Bivens all went multiple laps down themselves. Biggert with the crash, Bivens with the internet issues. And then the used car lot of cars with heavy damage. Mann, Carrington, Hurley, Gortman, Connor Briggs, and Dillard, unfortunately, all met their demise early. But just then, as Wes Graham does his well-deserved donuts, we're going to talk to him in a matter of moments. We've had 2 very chaotic races, but Division 3 is coming up. Do you think we'll see slightly less chaos? Or do you think it'll be more of the same with a guaranteed green finish?
I think it's important to mention that it's 50 laps no matter what in that circumstance. But when it comes to that, the field strength is much higher. You have drivers like Brandon Hockin with lots of event championship experience. Jake Cummings to keep an eye on. Justin R. Smith, someone who's done well in the past on the ovals. And many others that you can throw into the mix and the conversation to see, can they run well in these next-gen cars for the top prizes tonight? And again, with how strong the field is going to be for Division 1, you can't really say who's even going to win it with how much strength there is.
It looks like we do have our race winner, Wes the Mess himself. Ironically, survived the mess tonight, Wes. I think you restarted that last caution in 9th, and by the end of the wreck, you were in 1st. How on earth did you do that?
Like you said, right place, right time. I really can't believe it either. It was just a bad block on the outside by the guy who was leading it, and just luckily they turned left and nobody got a chance to try to overcorrect it back into the right, and caution just came out just as we took the lead. So I knew on that last restart just needed to get through the gears solid, and if we got to the backstretch, that was where it was kind of wishy-washy for me, but we only made it through turn 1 and 2. I mean, it's a little disappointing to not get more green flag racing, but hey, I'd rather be lucky than good on most days.
I think we all would at Daytona, but Wes, for this win, you're going home with that GT Light Pro, and the actual retail price, $299. For you, though, $0. How's that feel? Big prize there.
Oh, big prize. Well, see, I'm a creator. I'm sponsored by Next Level, so I'm hoping we can get up with Tim and get that to the second place driver, and push him on down, 1 spot for the prizes, because I'm set. I'm in my GT track right now with my ERS1 seat with my HF8 happy feedback pad, ready to kick some butt in the Division 1 race. So hopefully we can move those on down. That's all up to Tim.
Indeed. I think Bill Daniels will be happy about that. The creators at Next Level Racing, always the charitable bunch. But you did just announce that. We got word as well from the admins. Wes Graham given entry into Division 1, so you're going to race one more time. You think you can go 2 for 2?
I mean, we could try. I actually got lucky this year and won a Daytona 500. So Daytona's been kind of good to me here in 2023. So I'm hoping to put this 88 Next Level Racing Toyota back in the victory lane for another one.
Well, Wes, we hear there's 2 minutes left in qualifying, so we're going to let you go do that. Congrats on the win, and we'll see you in about 2 minutes.
All right. Thanks, sir.
Wes Graham, Wes the Mess himself. And before we get into Division 3, we got one more driver to talk to, and it's a driver who might be going home with the first place prize, apparently. It is the puppy charmer himself, Bill Daniels, with Justin Prince.
Yes, indeed, Bill. First things first, talk us through the night. It seems several times you tried to get that top to work.
Yeah, just trying to hold the top as long as I could. I knew that eventually if I just kept it and we had a nice line going, we could definitely make it work, and I think it kind of paid off there in the end.
Yeah, in turn, though, how tricky was it to build up the runs? It seemed at times that was tricky just to gather up the speed.
Yeah, definitely. It was definitely hard to find someone that you could work with and be able to get those runs going. But once you did, it was butter up there.
In turn, though, with the run, depending on how things now play out, at the least you get yourself a seat pad, a haptic gaming pad, in fact, for your seat. How does that sound?
I will enjoy that. Me and the puppy both will enjoy that very much.
That's great to hear. Well, go back to the puppy.
I sure will. It's their bedtime.
Bill Daniels, to put the puppy to its bed.
I hope it has a good snooze, Justin, but we may not have a good snooze because we have to stay wide awake for one more race tonight, and it is the big one. It's Division 1 of the Next Level Racing Speedway Showdown. Guaranteed green flag finish, guaranteed 50-lap run, and the best drivers Next Level Racing has to offer. I think I've sold it, Justin. I am very excited to see this race, and I am very excited to see if our underdog, Wes Graham, can go from winning in Division 2 to advancing to maybe winning 2 in a row.
Yeah, I'm very curious if that's going to end up coming into play. As much as they want to see that, it's not going to be easy with this field, especially with the strength of some of the drivers in it. 46 entrants. And yes, if I understand, I believe we may take them all. About 47.
Big.
Well, this is going to get crazy because, yes, you can technically start more than 40 cars at a track like Daytona. You just share pit stalls.
Well, we've got Webb in the Aflac number 31. He's, I believe, going to be the first driver out on track trying to set a qualifying lap time. One of those Ford Mustangs sponsored by Aflac. And I am not going to do my goose impression because I think I've used up my vocal cords so much tonight that I couldn't deliver a good Canadian goose honk.
You can already tell, though, that he knows you have to be able to keep these tires a bit on the cooler side before you start pushing forward in some circumstances. Now, my preference on the super speedways obviously is just go. Just go. It's a super speedway. But you also need to be able to maximize those revs. And already, some of the drivers getting close, like you just did there, to be able to nick the wall. You do not want to hit the wall in quali.
Drew Webb on the clock. Kind of running the middle of the road going into turn 1, then drives it up above the white line. The driver out of Ohio getting very, very close to the wall. You don't want to hit the wall and lose all your speed, but you do want to build up as much speed as possible. Drew Webb down the back straight now. Speed's not quite touching 200 miles per hour with the restrictor plates on these cars, or rather the thing that isn't technically a restrictor plate but is basically a restrictor plate in the next gen car. He's going to build up even more speed here in 3 and 4, and then Drew Webb will be on the clock.
Yeah, I can tell Webb is just trying a lot of different lines to be able to use the banking as a ramp. Trying to line it up for that second lap. A little bit on the unorthodox side, I will say. But the time should be a bit better, to say the least, compared to the 50.3. 49-second lap times to 48-second lap times to Norman qualifying.
Starting to see the times fly in. Aaron Vogel up on the top over Major Monsi Weiss, Noah Janinda, Drew Webb, and Tyler Least, the top 5, or Tyler Laced, I should say. Garnet Adams having a good result there. Luke Mitchinson into the top 10, but Drew Webb is going to be a big number to watch. Derek Vance racing for his own team, I believe. Vance Autosport on the clock as Brandon Hawken, one of the most experienced drivers in the field, if not the most experienced driver in the field in NASCAR competition. No surprise to see him up on the top.
Yeah, that is the understatement of the year. He's more so a road course racer, but has really been jumping into the super speedway side. Brandon Hawken is Drew Webb top of the board.
Nice. Swag like Ohio for the Ohio driver, but he is falling down. Madison, Laced, Lawrence It is the Christmas tree at the top of the timesheets right now as everybody's building up speed on that second lap. Garnet Adams puts it into the top 10. Good lap there. Luke Mitchinson improving as well. A lot of these drivers, a lot more of these drivers than in the previous splits, know the meta. They know how to build speed on lap 2, and you can see it. We are lighting that ticker up.
Yeah, already David Silva moving up. Will Shaq already up there. Garrett Vidden amongst those with some NASCAR experience with Arizona State in the field tonight as well. A lot of shuffling about. Vance, though, with how things have picked up, able to get to the top 10, but that might not stick with Cody Reed and a couple others up there.
46 seconds to go. If you want to get a lap time on the board, you better do it quick. Here is Brandon Hawken. This is going to be lap number 2 for him. I believe still running the windshield plate of another series. Very experienced in the FTF Cup Series on one of our top NASCAR leagues on iRacing. Doesn't improve on lap number 2, though. That's kind of a shock. Brandon Hawken is going to start this race in just 18th place.
Yeah, one of his teammates actually on the pole for one of the special events for the 1987 cars coming up. So next, Nexus Esports amongst those coming back team-wise. How about a top 10 run? Bianca Costantino up inside the top 10.
Yeah, Bianca Constantinu, one of those drivers from screen to speed, or sim to speed rather, so good lap from her. Garnet Adams as well. She's one of the drivers from screen to speed as well. Given some good representation from that group there in the race in division number 1. But we are ready to go, and we have the grid for you. Sean Madison on pole ahead of Tyler Laced. Not the least of his concerns. He's on the front row. Robert Lawrence and Drew Webb on row number 2. And then it's Garrett Viton or Vitten. Either way, he's from Ohio, so it's probably Vitten. He starts alongside the Bills-mobile of Justin R. Smith. 7th place went to Colby Hogan. He starts alongside Cody Reed. And then it's Bianca Constantinu alongside Jonas Gunnarsson on row number 5. Will Shack and Derek Vance, not Drew Vance, on row number 6. Talon Smith and Ollie McGowan on row number 7. David De Silva, Tanner Zimmerman, Zachary T. Wilson, and Andre Selander bring us down to row number 9. And then rounding out the top 20, it's Brandon Hawken. Look for him to move forward. He starts alongside Luke Mitchinson. Jake Cummings going to be coming from the middle of the field alongside Treston Fortson, Aaron Vogel, and Garnet Adams on row number 12. Edward Sanchez and Peter Layler down to 26th. Miles Davis, not the jazz singer, unfortunately, starts alongside Noah Janinda. And then Major Monty Weiss starts alongside James Bracker, making his 3rd start of the night, as is Rupert Carrington, as is Zach Christie. Wyatt Smith and Adam Briggs join us for the first time. Only 34 drivers in the field, Justin, so luckily no 46 driver field here. Going to be a little bit less dramatic, but it's going to be dramatic all the same.
I think it's going to be extremely dramatic. We're about to see what these drivers, 47 cars currently lining up for the grid. When you have that many cars, let alone 40, it's not an easy task to go through the field. It's not an easy task to keep it clean. It's not an easy task to survive the chaos. You have to have a lot go right with this amount of talent, but the amount of cars as well. That being said, it's always about those who can do the best in terms of long tempo run. We'll see who's the best when it comes to that, especially with Hawken deep in the field. Like we're going to make some friends along the way.
It's going to be... I don't think we can predict who's going to win this race, because we've tried that in the previous races. I think we've both been wrong in our ideas of who's going to win the race, but I think we should say right now, Justin, who do you think is going to win the race? You can pick anybody out of the field, put your booking down right now. Who's going to be the winner of that big prize?
Honestly, you can't count on Hawken whatsoever when it comes to that regard. But with a race like this, you can't really pick anyone fully. So, honestly, I like Hawken, but any of the above?
Any of the, I mean, that's a good answer. I think in most states in the United States, when you go to the polls, when you're voting, none of the above is always an option. So I think all of the above should be an option here if we want to pick the winner, because it could truly be anybody. And it's a driver who we may not necessarily have picked to be on pole. It's Sean Madison, and Tyler Lace to his outside. Some of the drivers who we would expect to win. Brandon Hawken deep in the field. Bianca Constantinu, P9. She's got some moves to make. She's got some aggression to do. But everybody is going to be looking 50 laps in the distance, because unlike the previous two races, this is not going to be a 40-minute timed race. We are guaranteed to get 50 laps, however long that takes, however deep into the night we go, we will be going the full race distance. And if we get a caution, there's three green-white checkered attempts as well. So we will get a green flag finish for you. It's just a question of who's going to be at the front. But for the final time tonight, we're prepared to go to the initial green. Sean Madison leads us to green in Division 1, and we are racing at Daytona for the big one.
Oh, and we already are cautioned. The 30th spot wrecked.
I think they misunderstood what I said there. I said we were racing for the big one, the big prize, not to do the big one, but they have done so at the back of the field. Quite a few drivers didn't qualify, actually. We only read 34 drivers on the grid, but there's the likes of Hunter Manley, Michael Berta, Chris Norris, Daniel Plant-Smith, Colton Hunty Ward. Lots of drivers who didn't qualify, and I think a lot of them may have been involved in that accident. Take a look at it when we can, but we did not make it to the line. And that can cause a little bit of trouble with iRacing's ordering, but we will figure that out.
I'm 99% sure it involved two of our drivers in the studio. Would you believe, James? Would you believe the 94?
Oh no! Oh, I think the third driver in the studio, Zach Christie, made it through, but Rupert Carrington in his third race of the night, not gone so well.
Yeah, 46 was about to say not 94, and you see them all pacing along at this point. Looking very calm at this point, despite two of them in the incident.
We do have the fandoms very much out in the chat, though. We've got some people rooting on Garnet Adams. We've got some people rooting on Tyler Lace. We've got some people rooting on Sean Madison. We've got a couple others in the Twitch chat rooting on the 94, De Silva. I think if fan power is anything to go by, those guys, those 5 or 6 drivers are definitely going to be some of the big time contenders here. But lots of racing to go. 50 laps guaranteed. As I said, nobody's going to come down pit road this time except the damaged cars. And we're just going to wait and see if we can diagnose what happened to anybody else in that caution, if anybody else comes down for service.
Might see the top-offs, if anything. The one driver who might be thankful for the time of this caution flag, I will say, Aaron Vogel, a longtime iRacer, usually someone you see very active when it comes to the Reddit side of iRacing, but also some of the Discord servers iRacing's community runs. Apparently, he explained he accidentally held the enter key down to tow the car and missed the start. Because the caution, he gets to take the wave and hold on to the lead lap.
Well, how about that? That's one way to get back up there. Sometimes you, what's the phrase? You don't need to be good, you just need to be lucky. He's definitely good, but at this time, he definitely needed quite a bit of luck there. And I did see quite a few drivers at the back of the field bringing it down pit road. Talon Smith, Daniel Smith, Eric Hegdahl, Medlin, Colton Hunty Ward. It's a whole host of drivers who didn't get to qualify, but they are all bringing it down pit road. And Aaron Vogel, the 47 car in 47th place. It's going to be a good run, I think, now that Aaron's back on the lead lap.
Nothing like going from basically last to first, am I right?
It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, that's going to be the case. We talked about some of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series drivers with Division 3 last time, by the way, when it came to the connection from UNC Charlotte. How about the Arizona State representative, currently in 5th after where they started off? Vidin had made all 11 eNASCAR College Series starts and is basically the person who helped form his esports club at Arizona State.
Nice. Esports club at Arizona State. I'm surprised they have computers in Arizona. I would have thought they would have all melted, but clearly he's got some great cooling there. And that eNASCAR College Series, we cannot endorse it enough. It's done so much good for so many drivers. And some of those drivers have been succeeding the most so far tonight. Remember, Brockton Packard in race 1 came so close to winning with experience at UNC Charlotte. Maybe the college series will finally get a winner tonight with Vidin. I'm going to go with your pronunciation there, by the way. I might just call him Garrett, though.
The Ohio hometown driver, I should say. Very curious on how this goes. Now, we'll try this again at the very least. Wes Graham, the winner from Division 2, looking to really up the prizes, is in 31st. And the first of those who topped off, and we've seen how well that worked last time from charge to the back.
Look at that beautiful display. It's a whole bingo board of drivers. We do have another VTuber model. I don't know who that is in the field, but we see some drivers.
I know who it is. I think that might be Aaron. I think that's Aaron.
Fantastic.
Apparently, he is amongst us watching a lot on the Twitch side for Next Level Racing tonight. Apparently, there are 3 that fit that category in the field.
I think we might have to search through the rest of the Zoom, but the people who we can see here, we got people in VR. There it is, full screen. Fantastic. You know, I'm going to take advantage of every second we get here, Justin. We've seen too many humans. I think it's about time that in a simulated race, we see some simulated people.
I mean, there are some who like to say we all are in a simulation.
We might be. It's possible.
Oh, please don't feed into that.
I don't think I will, but we are in a simulation right now at the very least. I am personally transporting my my corporeal form into iRacing. I am immersing myself in the world because we are ready to go racing once more ahead of hundreds of thousands of virtual fans and a couple more real fans in the real world here. But the iRacing Sedan Pace Car is getting used to this job, pulling down pit road and going back to its nook. But up front, Sean Madison, he was the pole sitter, and he's going to be the pole sitter once more on the restart here. The number 9 takes us back to green at Daytona. Lap number 5 in the books now. And hopefully we can get a little bit longer of a run. He's got a little bit of a jump on Robert Lawrence, but Lawrence is going to join him into turn 1, and the pushes begin.
Yeah, I'm surprised we got going with how hard they were pushing for 25th. But we'll see if the top line hold up. There's a lot more competitors, though, in this field to be able to get the inside moving.
That up on the top, the 31 of Drew Webb gives a good push to Tyler Laced there. Laced not able to clear Madison, though. The run comes on the bottom, the 25 of Robert Lawrence. It's 2 by 2 up front, but look behind them. The entire field packed up 2 by 2. Very well behaved, very well rehearsed. Everybody trying to decide which lane they want to be in from about 16th back, but up front, it looks like a pace lap right now at very high speeds.
Yeah, Justin Smith amongst those, part of the EPI camp, trying to see what can be done. One of the short track drivers. Just trying to play things forward, play the lines, prevent the side draft, make the lines work. Don't be over aggressive this early. There's 50 laps guaranteed.
Indeed there are, and that's going to make sure that we do have to think about fuel. If we do get a green flag run going here, if we do get into a rhythm, you will most likely have to pit for fuel before the end of this race. But we're going to cross that bridge when we come to it and hope it doesn't collapse before we get to it. Because right now, everybody, this is the biggest pack we've seen basically all night. It's the biggest field we've seen, and it's the biggest pack of drivers we've seen. As there's a little bit of a blink from Tyler Lace. That's not going to make the drivers behind him very confident, but luckily the 42 of Vidin is going to pull up, and he's going to lead the top line.
Just looking to see if we can drive around. Tyler Lace, though, just trying to line things forward. A bad bump from that triple bump.
Whoa. Trying to argue, everybody trying to get back in line. There's a spin on the back straight, somebody else in the wall. I think that may have been Ollie McGowan smacking the wall on the back straight. Lots of damage. I think Ollie McGowan's actually okay, and the caution does eventually come out. Do not know who that was, but 2 cars turned down the back straight onto the apron. Somebody else smacked the wall coming into turn 3. And the caution comes out once more.
I think that was a saving grace, though, for one of the drivers. One of the Bocconi-based drivers had a massive slide down that straightaway. Jadina, I believe it was. But for the most part, This could get interesting once again. This is near that fuel window at the top of this caution.
Here is what happened. That's Bracker, one of the Division 2 drivers, Division 3 drivers as well. Just gets turned onto the Daytona road course, basically, about 6 months after he should have been taking that layout. And then by the time he gets it spun around, I think that's when the caution comes out. Can't keep it pointed straight. Does end up pulling back onto the track. And because of that, we will cut the speed in about a third, and we will pace around a little bit more, save a little bit more fuel, and probably make some drivers a little bit more comfortable thinking about that 50 lap limit on fuel.
Yeah, I think they're now going to be thinking about that pit entry, if they're going to take the tires, if they're just going to take the fuel only at this point for the track position. There's a lot you have to factor in. Expecting a lot of drivers you would think to come down unless they're banking on an later caution. But I'd be a bit shocked if they don't peel in, and they're not peeling in.
Couple drivers taking some peeks. I think there's one taker from the top 10. I think that's Jonas Gunnarsson. He's going to come down pit road, and a few others going to follow him in. Brandon Hawken, all that experience may be coming into that decision. Andre Salander coming down pit road as well. And all those drivers, remember, who brought it down into the last caution, basically everybody who started from 30th down back, they're all going to come down again. Everybody from Noah Janinda down to Michael Berta, they're all going to take even more fuel, and it might put them at the back of the field, but it's going to put them a little bit more comfortable with the fuel in the tank.
Honestly, it might put them in the place where they don't come down ever again for fuel if they're able to do so or avoid damage. So this is kind of that spot where I talked about how tricky it's going to be in terms of when you elect to come down, take that fuel. And most of the drivers are now having that decision-making process already. Do they think big picture, or do they think caution, break, caution, break, caution, and pace it out? Because for every one pace lap, that's basically half a lap of fuel mileage you've burned. If you're really good on saving, you might be able to limit it to about 0.3 of a lap. That can also add up to equalize out, depending on the cautions.
You're just joining us. This is the Next Level Racing Speedway Showdown, and this is actually race 3 of the night. We had Division 3 to kick us off. Colton Easterday actually came home with that win, a triumphant win for a driver we see quite a bit on RaceSpot TV. Second race went to Wes Graham, and he actually won his way into this third race. You'll see him deeper in the field at the moment. But they are all racing for prizes, and you at home, the viewer, for the rest of this live stream can use the code Speedway Showdown at nextlevelracing.com. You'll get 5% off on your next purchase at nextlevelracing.com, excluding licensed products. But everything else, 5% off. That is quite the discount when you add it up with some of those highly priced items, some of those motion rigs and the like. 5% can save you quite a bit of dollars. Australian dollars in Zach Christie's case, still as focused as ever in that studio, that Next Level Racing studio. And here are the prizes actually for the Division 1 race. You've heard about the prizes for Division 3 and Division 2, but in Division 1, you get 2 GT Light Pros actually. Third place gets a GT Light Pro, second place gets a GT Light Pro, and first place gets a GTE Light wheel plate and an ERS2 seat. The prizes get even bigger at the top of the pyramid.
And that top prize is one of those big, very versatile, very sturdy rigs where it's the full-on sim racing experience, where it can handle all the extras if you want, including that seat, which really helps save you the planning process on that. All that while being able to set that up to drive around with that setup, and potentially could say some good positioning for your pedals, and think about the monitor setup after. Really sturdy is the main viewpoint, though, when it comes to that setup available with the GTE Light.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Justin, but I still have the same iRacing setup that I had when I started on iRacing in May of 2020. And when I got that setup, it was a loan. It was a second-hand setup from my friend who had already owned it for years. So that particular brand of wheel and pedals that I have, it's starting to get a little bit old. I think I might have to start thinking about Next Level Racing. I might have to upgrade.
Well, they do provide some of the most realistic feels when it comes to some of that equipment, especially as of late. And especially keep in mind, it's about that immersive experience. It can give you that immersive feel, but also that comfortability feel that, when you think about it, is a major difference. If you're not comfortable, it's hard to be fast when you're not able to sit in the proper seat.
Let's take this to the next level. The iRacing Sedan Pace Car is going to bed on pit road. And up front, we are ready to go racing again. It's Tyler Laced up front. Great jump from him over Garrett Vidden in the 42. And we are racing again at Daytona. 2x2 for the most part. A couple of drivers with a big breakaway up front. But that's not going to last for long, because look at Justin Smith in the 66 and third. Far back from those front two, but he's going to have a massive run coming up.
Gotta continue to try navigate the early going here. Just trying to build the momentum. Not so great on the top, though. It's almost towards what we've seen last time, where that top line gets very bogged down like this. If you don't get the speed early, now they're getting over-aggressive up there with the bottom running away.
Trying to form up the top further back. Basically, everybody behind Bianca Constantinu is trying to form up the top. Big blinks there from David De Silva, I believe. Actually, that was Ollie McGowan. He's finally back into the realm of existence. But Brandon Hawken gets turned around to the front straight, but somehow he's still pointed straight. I have no idea how he saved that.
Brandon Hawken's definitely not going to be happy with that just played up there. You know, spotter have to be communicating on what to do to be able to gather things back up after that. Ryan Pendicio up on the box, and they're wrecking in his pack.
There they go. That's Bracker, Carrington, some of the usual suspects from tonight, causing the caution once more, I do believe. And we are yellow once more on lap number 12. Garrett Vidden does get the lead at the line. Or does he? Is Tyler Lace going to take it back? I don't think it is. I think it's going to be the 42 in the lead. But let's rack them up again. Caution number 3.
Yeah, I'm not sure why exactly they were stacking up like that back there. They had just gathered up after the bad checks and the bad slides in the first place. But yeah, you can see it right there. James Bracker did not want to lift.
Oh, Augustine Canapino style there, just kind of driving into the wreck. I don't think that car was damaged, though. I think that was just not paying attention by whoever that was. Luckily, I didn't see their name. But let's see here, Justin. Does everybody come down to pit road up front here? Because we saw those drivers come down pit road last time out. Basically, everybody, I think from about 20th back, has made the pit stop by now. If my statistics are true, 25th on back.
26.
Yeah, does everybody up front decide to come in, the top 25?
Well, this is, again, a little bit more in the comfortable spot for the window. So, again, it's coming down to, do drivers dare come down and join the hornet's nest? Or should I say, join the hurricane and tornado with hornets flying around that you have to dodge in the middle of a cornfield?
I don't think you've sold it enough, Justin. I don't think that's bad enough. We got to get some more natural disasters in there. But here we go. Tyler Laced down pit road. Smith, Webb, the large majority of the field, but there are a few stragglers. Garrett Vidden, Sean Madison, Derek Vance, they're all staying out. But look at this dynamic shot here in the Next Level Racing studio. Going to be a pit stop for just fuel there.
Yeah, a couple drivers missed the pit stalls. John Dart here right over the radio. You can tell Zach Christie is really trying to figure out how to enter the pit box, or was. It is a bit of an art form with the speed limit, because he's not even hitting half of it. And when you're at 60 miles an hour, you better be right up on those brakes and the gearing, or else you're going slippy slide. Guess who's slippy sliding through the field? Wes Graham. Others just trying to slippy slide in their boxes still.
Now, was Zach Christie we saw in the seat there on camera? This is one of the Plant drivers. There's 2 drivers, I believe, with Plant in their last name in the field. But I think around back there, that is Daniel Plant Smith in the 21, planting himself at the back of the pack. But he's taken fuel every single stop so far. He's stayed out of any trouble, and that is a damage-free car with a full tank of fuel. That's going to be pretty good as we continue on here in this race of survival at Daytona.
Not sure if that's a nickname or if that's the actual middle name, but everything involving plant has plant involved in it. So, in our words, though, experience continuing to do well. It's just been pointed just right. Took the chance to take the lead. Now, what plays out is going to be the major thing, especially with drivers like Jake Cummings quickly making their way through the field.
Let's see, does anybody bring it down this time? Any of those guys who stayed out, do they regret staying out? No, they do not. They're going to keep committed, and basically the top 11 here from the 42 down to the 45 of Adam Briggs, those are the only drivers left who have yet to pit for fuel. They are hoping that this stays as caution-filled as it's been, and they are hoping that they don't have to do any fuel saving, but we're going to rack them up 2 by 2 here once more. Still, how many drivers left on the lead lap? I think 44 drivers, Justin, still on the lead lap. I don't know how that's possible, but it is a massive field, and we can't cut it down at all. They're all surviving these things.
Yeah, and again, I think this is just based on positioning, luck, avoiding James Bracker. I mean that half jokingly, but still, it's been kind of a point of you start at the front, you stay at the front, you avoid being in the chaos in the middle, in the backfield, as we've seen so far.
We have seen James in the Next Level Racing studio. We saw Rupert Carrington in the Next Level Racing studio as well, and we see Zach Christie in the Next Level Racing studio. So anytime we see those guys, we sincerely hope that it's not them involved in the cautions. Unfortunately, they've had some bad luck tonight. Hopefully that turns around. They still got 35 laps to turn it around. But we have a sand art display of strategies here. You know, one of those bottles where you got multi-layers of sand, different colors. That's basically what the field looks like right now. You've got 11 drivers up front who haven't pitted. Then you've got a whole host of drivers behind them who have pitted. And then you've got a whole host of drivers behind them who have pitted even earlier, or even later rather, than anybody else. So different fuel loads, different tire ages. It is a melange of strategies all down through the field. But we are ready to go racing once more. We are into the night here, and we are hoping that we can get a great green flag run here and some fantastic racing up front that we've seen so far tonight. The iRacing Sedan pace car is going to pull down once more, point it straight, as is Garrett Vidden, taking us to the green flag once more. Lap 15 of 50. 35 laps left to go, and the 42 leads us back to green.
Terrible start up at that top, though. Not a surprise to see one of the other drivers from eNASCAR College iRacing Series action, Jake Cummings, saying, we need to go, and they're wrecking to the back again.
Hopefully no caution there. Well, and the caution is out. They wrecked in the back of the field on the restart. Don't know who was involved. Unfortunately, a lot of drivers were, and just as we went to green, we are back under yellow. Cannot identify who was involved. Nobody's taken a tow back to the pits. I think maybe... I won't identify anybody just yet. We'll wait to see who it was.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they had to say other than you can't drive through cars in front. I'd like to see what happened fully before I fully say, because I'm confused.
So as if the Justin mentioned the hurricane tornado of hornets before, we're going to add the Bermuda Triangle into that as well, because we do not know what happened there. All we do know is that those guys who stayed out, everybody down to P10 basically, they're in good shape. But here's what happened, just a huge checkup at the back of the field. It's like driving on I-95. People don't know that the traffic is going to check up a little bit and wreck multiple cars back there. I think that was Plant Smith making it through the wreck, actually, but Luke Mitchinson not quite so lucky. I think Hunter Manley or Colby Hogan also got some big damage there.
Yeah, that was not pretty. No better way to put it. That was not pretty. But it's looking great for Vidden. I will say this. He and Jake Cummings have a great chance to work together. After all, apparently, through some of those connections, they're teammates when it comes to the Technical Alliance side now with something called Alien Motorsport. And Cummings is the boss of that team.
How about that? It's all coming up Cummings.
I mean, he was a fan favorite entering the day, but we're still coming up towards that halfway point. I think at least one driver is now tapped out for the pit stop, the 41, but most of the others are doing what I think is going to be the other play. Stay out. Hope you can save so much fuel under these cautions you don't have to pit in. We're kind of on that trajectory.
That was Major Monsi Vice who brought it down pit road. Edward Sanchez, not sure what he's doing, driving up to the front of the pack. I think he's going to be going to the back again here. Garrett Vidden just riding down there in the apron, saving a little bit of fuel, as is Sean Madison. There's those skills that come from experience, knowing that if you do run down in the apron, it's not going to save you much more fuel from or much more fuel than running on the banking under caution, but it is going to save just that little bit, and that little bit could be important in 32 laps time.
Yeah, and that's why so many drivers are shutting off the cars, clutching, coasting, trying to save as much as possible with the weight we're going here.
So as we sit under caution here, I think we can do a little bit of a carousel of entertainment here as we run deep into the night. We're going to take a look at every single one, or quite a few of the drivers if we can, who have gladly and proudly provided us with some of their camera feeds. We're going to see inside the world of some of these drivers. There it is, the beautiful grid once more. You see three of the drivers in the Next Level Racing studio. Zach Christie on the left there. And then, I don't even think that's all of them. That's just the 16 we could fit in the grid, Justin. Everybody was eager to show us their faces.
I'm curious whose feet that is. I think Bracker is out of the race, so somebody's getting the shoe cam.
I think that must be the third NLR guy, so that must be Rupert Carrington.
Either that or it's Rupert alongside, but regardless, you can just see how much it's throttle to burp, then clutch, roll, throttle, clutch, roll, throttle, clutch, roll, all the way until you reach 3 and 4.
If there's any DJs out there in the chat, by the way, I want you to remix that. I want to hear Justin throttle, pitch, roll, or throttle, clutch, roll. I think we can make that into a pretty good song.
Well, it is kind of rhythmistic when it comes to that mark. Here's the interesting thing I've noticed amongst those who have pit so far. There are a lot of drivers from the same league, it looks like. Full Send Racing Association, who have brought strength in numbers, which is actually important here. Because Zachary Hall, John Dart, Andrew Medlin, and a couple others who are in that group have been all trying to stay together. Travis Dart, you can also throw in the mix, as well as Ken Campbell. Who says if we go green, that it's not them who power the way to the front at the rate we're going? They have the numbers, they just don't have the track position.
Very well be anybody in the field here. Let me see. Let me count how many drivers we have on the lead lap at this point. Still 43. We only lost 2 drivers off the lead lap with that incident earlier with Mitchinson and Hogan. So we've got a full NASCAR field circa a few years ago before the charter system came in. 43 cars on the lead lap. And we will continue on here with the familiar faces up front. We do see one driver, Will Shack there. We've mentioned him a couple times, but hasn't been running up front so far. He's made a ton of positions up. The strategy call to stay out has put him in P4, starting on the outside there in that Tabasco number 35. Could be fitting if it does start to get a little bit spicy up front. But the iRacing Sedan pace car is going to pull off. It's going to take its way through the drive-through. Not take any orders, though, because the order is led by Garrett Vidden up front. Green flags back out at Daytona, and it's a great jump from him once more. Not as good of a restart for Sean Madison this time. That's going to allow Derek Vance in the 94 to take advantage on the bottom. So we watch the foot cam of Zach Christie. He's trying to make his way through the pack.
And how about up the middle, 3 wide? A lot of drivers did not get up to speed. Problem is, there's nowhere to take that momentum. No one to push ahead outside of a couple cars who are already about 3 seconds back.
Rupert Carrington in the wall off turn 2. Surprise, no caution to come out for that though. Will Shack 3 wide on the outside. He's gonna think better of that though, hopefully, and back out of it. He's not going to actually, because he sees the 38 of Chris Norris in the middle there. He's gonna have to slot back in line. He hasn't shown the most speed in the world. He is showing that he's trying to find the line with the most speed. He's gonna move up to the top in that 38.
Yeah, Norris is kind of showing, okay, I've had enough of this. I want to get to the front just in case. And outside line is really starting to rip with Vance. Leading that way, very comfortable now with that triple bump.
Derek advances to the lead. Madison giving him a good push. Chris Norris in that bright blue 38, though, peeking out of line. Probably scaring Madison a little bit. Him and Vance are going to be clear down to the bottom, though. That's going to leave Christopher Norris up on the top to lead the line. He's going to have to hope that he can work with Will Shack.
Yeah, now just looking to see if they can get things now gathered with a different assortment. Matheson already making it clear. Do not let go of that back bumper of Vance. You can push a fair bit down the straightaways if you can get close enough. There's no tape on the next-gen car, so if you lift here, get a little bit of space, gather it back up, then back to the bumper, you can basically push the entire lap outside the corners, and there they go!
Oh, Garrett Vitted, the driver who's led more laps than anybody, crashes out hard into the backstretch wall. Everybody does a fantastic job of avoiding him, but the 42, one of the favorites, he's done.
Wow, and Vitted's getting hit in the back. Christie's up to full speed. Hunter Manley has crashed down the backstretch for the caution.
No caution just yet, I don't think, so we're still going to stay
It is
green.
yellow.
It is yellow now. Just got to wait for the update. There it is. The yellow comes out once more. They did so well to survive that, and then seemingly the last car on the scene brought the caution out.
That is horrific luck for Garrett, though. He was one of the drivers you can argue was a major favorite, and it's his own team boss, Cummings, with a bad bump that takes him out of his chances.
Oh, dearie me. Lots of drama. Let's see what happened to Wyatt Smith. I believe that's what brought the caution out officially. Just trying to avoid everything, then takes the jump at the bus stop. I don't think he brought out the caution. I think he actually saved it, so... Oh, well done, Wyatt Smith. Didn't bring out the caution, just had a fantastic save and a little bit of rallycross.
I think it was more so Hunter Manley, because we haven't mentioned Manley's name, because Manley basically had problems with the onset and lost several laps. He was that orange car we seen up on the top, the only driver on the top line there as that save was going on.
I wonder what the team radio is like right now. If they're in a Discord right now with Jake Cummings and Garrett Vidden, are they at each other's throats right now? What are they talking about? I wish we could send a fly into that room to hear what's going on there, but alas, we can do a little bit of fan fiction and think about what they're saying. I imagine it's probably, why did you do that? There's still 27 laps to go. Why did that have to happen?
Yeah, it's 110% not what you want to see. Cummings from Wingate for reference, and one of the major players when it comes to the unofficial college scene. Here is Manley, though. Caution's already out, or not out yet. Everybody else knows there's a car on the outside wall, except for Hunter Manley. Keep your foot in it.
Oh, dear.
He is the only person not to move to the bottom there.
The Reese's Cup car. That's a shame. Reese's Peanut Butter. Big fan. Not quite a big fan of the ARCA brakes there. But alas, caution is out. And while we do have the chance here, we do actually want to throw a shout out, because it's not just me and Justin on the team today. We've got our producer, Hugo Luis, of course, behind the scenes, producing the action. Randy Chenoweth is here, or Randy Cheneth, rather. Got to get the syllables right. He is helping us put on the event and transporting us some information and doing all that. And there's also Julie and Camilla, who are on the game cams with Hugo in the base in Germany. They're doing some great work in the middle of the night here. It's a whole team of people who make all this possible, Justin, and we are all going deep into the night as a team effort.
Takes a village to be able to put on a stellar broadcast, and we have that tonight. Downside, Christopher Norris. He's lost connection to the racetrack. Sim tech issues. Norris from 6th from a 44 starting spot is out.
Oh dear. That's not the first time that's happened tonight as well. We've had some technical issues, unfortunately, with the internet of some drivers, but that's just part of iRacing, unfortunately. Just like in real life, drivers will have technical issues, drivers will have engine failures. Our version of that, basically, is when the technology fails you, when the internet cuts out, when the computer shuts off, like mine did during the Division 2 race. You can't really control it. Sometimes they just are those acts of the computer gods, and you just got to take them and come back better next time.
Now my main question is, now that we're halfway, and if that's the calm part of the race, what's the second half coming to play with everyone basically in position to make it on gas? I would say that the best is yet to come.
I hope you're right. Brandon Hawken, seemingly in a sensory deprivation chamber. He's got all the lights turned off. That's an interesting thing, Justin, because that's kind of a debate. Do you turn the lights off or do you keep the lights on? I'm a lights on person. I don't want to be in the dark, but I know a lot of people do.
Has to be lights on. Has to be lights on. But it's worth noting, Brandon Hawken did have Ryan Pandisio as a spotter. About 5 cautions in, Ryan Pandisio left the spotter stand and left the session.
Understandable. Ryan Pandisio, another one of those drivers who has a lot of experience on the NASCAR side, and I think he knows that when he sees a little bit of trouble, when he sees what's about to build up, he thinks, you know what, I'm probably not needed. I think Brandon's got this on his own.
I still want the spotter to at least keep me entertained during the cautions.
That would be good, but hopefully they'll have the broadcast on. Hopefully they'll be listening to us. And if anybody else does want some entertainment under cautions, I've seen a couple of drivers offer themselves to talk to us. Zach Christie talked to us earlier. Garrett Vidden suggested that we could talk to him if we do get a further caution, so I might have to take him up on that offer. If anybody else wants to, join us on the Next Level Racing Discord server, and we may just get to you for a little bit more entertainment. But for now, it's time for the real entertainment of the night. The iRacing Sedan Pace Car is going to Pit Road City, and Derek Vance is leading us to Restart City. The 94 in the lead for the first time tonight for Vance Autosport. Leads us to green and immediately moves up to the top.
Not a surprise. They have been working together in sync since they've really hooked up. But Bianco starting to get going in the 57. Already Hawken trying to work third car in that grouping for the get to the top 10.
Be a big check up here. Hawken does have to lift out a little bit. Look at the top. That's Peter Layler trying to work with Garnet Adams, the dynamic duo up top. The 32 of Zachary Hall going to be trying to join that fray. The top is building up now. It looked a little bit weak in previous runs, but I think some of these drivers know that they need to make track position up here if we're getting these short green flag runs, and Brandon Hawken gets jump scared by the 87 of Peter Layler. No caution as Hawken ends up on pit road.
Now it's out.
Now the caution is out again.
Oh, and they are massively wrecking in the grass.
Oh dear. Brandon Hawken gets to see the aftermath personally there. Look who made it through. Wes Graham up to P4.
Bianca Costantino amongst those massively stacked up. Lots of meatball flags. De Silva, Adams. A black flag for Hegdahl for having to avoid in the pits. Christie destroyed again.
I like the message in chat from Derek Edgerton, Justin. He just says, man.
What else can you say? Cautions, breed, cautions.
They do. I gotta find the meme photo of the horse by the ocean. I gotta send that to Hugo to pull up.
So, Derek Vance and Sean Matson are still looking very smart for staying out here.
Galaxy Brain strategy. I mean, I think, honestly, Justin, not to speak too highly of myself as a strategist, seeing the races that came up before tonight, I would assume that there were going to be a lot of cautions, and I honestly would I would absolutely take the risk and stay out, because I don't think there was any way we were making it a full green flag run here to run the fuel tanks out.
Eventually, though, we'd have to take the checkered. So if we manage to hit the time limit, that there is technically one of 2 hours and 25 minutes. I don't know what to tell you.
You are right. There is so pace laps are 2 minutes and 7 seconds at their longest. If we were to do that 50 times, by my calculations, that would be 100 minutes, which is an hour 40. So I don't think we will hit the time limit, luckily, but we could be here for a long time.
I'm not sure what they're doing at the bottom of this point. I think at this point, Edward Sanchez is saying, I want to lead. But those FSRA cars are moving in quickly, aren't they? Because 2 of them have survived. Check that, 3 to get up here.
Let's take a look at what happened in that caution. Brandon Hawken, you're going to see the jump scare with the 87 of Peter Layler getting turned by Garnet Adams, actually. And Hawken just gets mullered there by Peter Layler. And then out of shot, everybody else just kind of goes sicko mode in each other and takes each other out on the start-finish straight. Oh, there it is. There it is. I saw it for a millisecond. Hugo's hitting us with some subliminal messages.
What?
That was incredible.
I'm surprised, but
that's fantastic.
Man, it's been that type of night.
I mean, if we get one more caution, it might be a bruh night, but so far it's just, man.
On the bright side, I'm still in that boat where eventually somebody's going to challenge Vance and Madsen if we get enough laps. Wes Graham is coming.
I think it's entirely possible that Wes Graham wins this race. That would be absolutely incredible, considering he wasn't even meant to be in this race until he won Division 2. But that would be awesome. Let's take a look at what happened here, just for the heck of it. Will Shack, Bianca Constantinu, and lots of drivers. Oh my goodness, Wes Graham passes through Bianca. I think that was some luck there, because Bianca, she's racing from Romania. Zach is racing from Australia. I think the difference in internet connections between those two countries definitely helped there to be less contact there. But everybody else, not quite so lucky.
Did I mention we still have 41 cars who are still with somewhat functioning car parts?
I don't know how that's possible. We could win a Nobel Prize for this race. We are violating the laws of physics here.
There are 35 of the lead lap. And would you believe this? But Norris is somehow one of them? Question mark?
Nice. He's back.
I don't know how.
And never count anybody out, but let's count out well, let's not count out. Let's count in Wes Graham here. Under caution, or not under caution, rather. He's going to be right behind the caution. And let's see how he made it through. Wes the Mess, sensing the mess up front, and look at that. Days of Thunder style. Easy, no problem. No challenge for him whatsoever. He makes it through.
I don't know if he even lifted. If it was a minor lift to be able to just pick a lane, go, 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 hope it doesn't shut.
So we will go green again here in a matter of moments as the iRacing Sedan pace car rounds turn 4. I hope the pace car driver isn't getting carpal tunnel, because he's starting to make the same left turn multiple times, but he is going to pull off here. And Derek Vance will retake control of the field. He's the happiest driver in the field right now, because the strategy has worked beautifully for him, and the restart's beautiful for him as well. Great jump, gonna move up to the top with Sean Madison again. Those two guys have been excellent pushing buddies with each other, and we're back to green.
Once again, nice and clean. The top line, that preferred line, nobody wants to run the bottom.
absolutely dying out down there. There's one car about 7 cars deep who's trying to lead that bottom. You see one mover down there. I think that's Talon Smith in the 51. Andre Solander gonna join Talon down in the bottom to try and build something up there. Miles Davis feeling kind of blue in 9th place, moving up, and look at that, the 26 of Edward Sanchez. The bottom's building up.
He wants to go in that Brook College car, getting a lot of those pushes that Talon Smith needs to be able to get right.
Derek Vance and Sean Madison doing a fantastic job up front.
Caution.
Caution will come out again at the back of the field. There it is, officially.
Aaron Vogel, blown motor. Norris amongst those from the scene. Brandon Hockin again. We still have 20 to go.
I think it's time, Justin. It's not just a man anymore. It's a bruh. It's a non-gender specific bruh. Let's see what happened here. Aaron Vogel, I think pulling, oh, it wasn't even him. It was one of the NLR cars who gets turned by the 4, and big trouble. Tanner Zimmerman was the 4 car, and then they pile in Brandon Hawkin, Rupert Carrington. Yeah, more cars wrecked. You want to talk to Zach Christie, Justin?
Why not?
Let's do it. We got time. Zach Christie, welcome back to the booth. We're under caution again here. Haven't had the most luck here, but we did see one thing under that last caution. We're going to take a look at what happened under this caution first and foremost. There's just some people ARCA breaking into the wreck. We won't worry about them. But how's your race gone so far, Zach? Are you still having fun?
Oh, sorry, boys. I didn't realize that you were talking.
There we go. We got
some stuff in the background.
All good.
Yeah, the race was good so far. But right at the end, there was one little crash that I couldn't help to avoid. They just came back in front of me. So it is what it is with the NASCARs. They're like ping pong balls and they go everywhere. So I was wrong place, wrong time with that one.
We saw something. We saw something incredible, Zach, when on one of the previous cautions. I think it was Bianca. She was coming across the track. You were coming basically perpendicular to her car. You guys passed through each other, violating the laws of physics.
Yeah, that's the one there. So, yeah, unfortunately, I went straight in the middle of her. I guess you want to say through the middle of her car, and I had nowhere to go, unfortunately. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm still alive though, so that's the main thing.
Let's go. And I think you might win a Nobel Prize because you definitely violated physics there. You've done something we've never seen before. It's pretty incredible.
They call me Zach Newton, so
yeah, of course they will be from now on.
Yeah, I think that's what you should call it, Zach Newton Christie, just because I defy the physics of gravity and whatever else you want to call it.
I'm writing that down. We are absolutely bringing that back.
Right,
I got to calculate my time zones in my head here. What time is it for you over there right now?
At the moment, it is about to be 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So
nice.
Pretty much we've been here all day doing stuff we love. So it is a privilege to do this for a job. And as what Jimmy said, James said next to me, it's a good day at work for sure.
I'll let you go salesman mode before we let you go. The winning prize, the winner, or if I can speak my words right, the prize for the winner of this race is that GT Elite Light wheel plate and the ERS2 Elite seat. Talk us through those big old prizes.
Yeah, correct. So I think you said the GT Light Pro. Is that what you said? Sorry.
The GT Light Pro, that's for 3rd and 2nd, and then first place.
First place was GT Elite.
Yeah, GT Elite and the ERS2 Elite.
Yeah. Definitely very worthy first place prizes for sure. I'm definitely jealous myself as I got taken out. So obviously I can't get it myself, but it's definitely a good product for someone to win first, and especially it's a worthy upgrade for the rigidness that the Elite products have, especially with the ERS2 that it's paired with. They're definitely really good products as well. So it'll be good for whatever product electronics that they have as well. And it'll be a good experience for them to be in Excel Racing.
Well, Zach, we'll let you get back to the race. We hope you get some of those 6 laps back. We hope we'll see you higher in the field, and we'll let you get back to that. Thanks for selling us on NLR.
Yeah, all good, mate. That's a part of my job. So yeah, thank you everyone for coming out as well, and thank you for putting on a good broadcast with the team of Tim and all that sort of stuff with running it. You guys do an excellent job every time you put one on. So I'm looking forward to the next one. I don't know much about it just yet, so I'm sure there's going to be something really good because it's always good. So I'll see you in the next one and enjoy.
Indeed, Zach Christie. Repping the brand, as always, Justin. And at this point, it's so late in the night that I'm struggling speaking in my normal accent, but you know what? Maybe if I start talking in that Australian accent again, I might be able to do a little bit better on the call.
I thought we agreed not to do that again.
You know what? We're past the watershed at this point. We can do whatever we want.
Either way, we're down to about 4 drivers who have yet to pit, and how long does that last is the biggest question, I think, on a lot of people's minds here. And now we're starting to see some shuffling amongst those who have pit multiple times. Talon Smith, in particular, I'm curious about. After all, that pink and blue machine is covered in for sale signs, and it's looking for some free real estate, after all.
Free real estate's hard to find in Florida, but there is some here. Also heard about one of our drivers in 20th place, Wyatt Smith, actually racing from Connecticut. I'm commentating from Connecticut, so we're going to hopefully see him moving his way up in the order. But here we go. 15 laps to go at the line. It has been a race of attrition. It's been like World War I. You got to survive. You got to make it to the end. And we'll see if it can happen. The iRacing Sedan pace car pulls into the bunker. And once again, Vance controls the field to the restart. See if he does the same thing he normally does. Good jump, pulls up to the top in front of Madison. It's rehearsed. It's like a dance recital, and they're doing it well.
I think at this point, the field's making it clear, at least some drivers are. They want to choo-choo train in. Okay.
They didn't even make it to green, Justin.
Wow.
I wish we had the rights to play pop music, because we could play Caution by the Killers right now. We'd be having a great time, but we might need to get some royalty-free music to amuse ourselves under this one.
Wow. Wow. So, Derek Vance, I still think this is one of the biggest nights of their life at the way this is going.
It's going great for him. Once we restart, it'll be what, like 10 laps to go. So things are looking very, very good for him. Let's see if we can disturb some of the drivers in open chat after we see what happened to this caution. That's Bianca in the magenta car, Hunter Manley onto the scene, Mitchinson involved as well. I honestly couldn't really tell you what happened there. I don't know if Bianca had damage or what, but that car was not up to speed, and Hunter Manley was very much up to speed, and the two met in the middle like peanut butter and chocolate.
And to put it in perspective for Derek Vance, how huge this may be. Derek Vance has won 2 ever iRacing oval races, let alone races in general. It's been a long while since the last one. It hasn't been in the past few months, to put it politely.
This would literally take him to the next level, so how fitting? How fitting would that be? We'll see if he can get it done.
Like, his best accomplishments include getting to an elevator with Jeff Gordon, being left hanging on a high five with Chase Elliott and Casey Kane, and driving 74 miles an hour on an interstate.
Nice.
I think this bypasses all this.
I mean, I think on the interstate he was probably faster than he was here, but yeah, this could be a big day for him. And somebody else who it was a big day for, we're going to go back in time here for some of you who have just joined us here recently for race number 3. A guy named Colton Easterday was the winner of Division 3 when we started out tonight a couple of hours ago. It was a very big win for him, and he's back with us to have a little bit of a chat here under caution. Colton, do you wish you were in this this Division 1 race right now?
Can you hear me? Hello?
We can. We got you.
Yeah. Honestly, I kind of felt like ending it on a win. Not gonna lie.
Understandable. But Colton, the main reason I dragged you in here actually is because we're trying to think of ways to amuse ourselves under caution, and I thought what better to talk to, first of all, a driver who's won tonight already, and second of all, a driver who is an entertainer in a way for a living with the theater stuff. So yeah, I'm just going to put you on the spot. I'm going to make you dance, and I'm going to make you do something to entertain us right now. What do you got?
Verbally dancing, you mean?
Something like that. I don't know. Do you have any royalty-free songs?
I don't know. Is Happy Birthday, is that royalty free?
I think it is. I think that a couple of years ago. I think that's royalty free now.
Okay.
Are there any birthdays in the field? Anybody in the chat know?
Yeah, I don't know. Are there any birthdays?
I can check Wikipedia and see who was born today. It is tomorrow. We started yesterday. It is now tomorrow. So I'll check Wikipedia. Let's see whose birthday it was. July 21st. I know yesterday was the moon landing day, July 20th. Let's see.
Let me see what kind of royalty free we got here.
Apparently it's Zach Hall, 5th place driver's birthday.
Nice. All right, Colton, you have the mic.
Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. What was his name?
Zach Hall.
Zach Hall. Happy birthday to you.
Round of applause, everybody. Justin, I better hear you clapping. I only have one hand because I'm on my push to talk right now, but I'm trying to clap as best as I can.
Is that a clap?
Fantastic.
Sounds good enough. It sounds good enough.
Happy birthday, Zach Hall. Hopefully we can get you a good birthday present at the end of this with a victory. But I think that was enough of a present in and of itself. Race winner tonight, Cole.
Who is not even probably knowing that we've sung that yet. They'll find out in a minute.
Shoutcaster Sam knows, apparently. He says it's Zach Hall's birthday, so hopefully the word gets back to him.